All right, what's good, everyone? Let me know if you can hear me. Press 1. We got a couple people in here, so we'll give this just one more minute and we'll start with this special news at night edition. This is something that I really wanted to bring up to individuals, but I just haven't had the time to do so until recently. So, yeah, press 1 if you let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know. Press 1, press something, do a barrel roll. I don't care. Just let me know if you can hear me at this moment. Because this is going to be something that we will address. This is something that we will definitely tackle. And this is something that we will not let that. Good. You can hear me. Press 1. Good. So, I'm looking at my information. I'm looking at my notes. And bear with me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why I really wanted to. Yeah. Why? All right. So, shout out to all of you who are here. Shout out to all of you who are watching. This is a special news at night day edition in which we're gonna have to talk, people. We're gonna have to talk about certain things, and that, yeah, I know. Bear with me. Bear with me while I'm doing all of this. All right. So, this is going to be a special news at night where we are going to have to really. Yeah, this is some homeboy management stuff. Or actually, you know what? Let me turn this off because, yeah, I got a rule here where not a lot of people show their face, and me being one of the few individuals that do so, I feel as if. There we go. That's much better. I feel as if I'm doing myself a disservice by doing something that a lot of other people don't and aren't required to do so anyway. So how about I don't show my face? I'm just going to give all you the details on what today's topic is. But as all of you know, there is a rule if you want to see my face. Now, if you want to see my face for all the haters out there, yeah, you gotta feel your interest. But for the rest of you out there, why is it that we have been getting all sorts of information and all sorts of attacks? Yes, these are slanderous attacks in regards of how or why we decide to travel. Now, notice that a lot of these attacks are towards everyone equally. No, it isn't. It's only towards a certain kind of individual who decides to take his ball to go home, or not really home, or to go somewhere where he feels more at home. And yes, as you can see here, this is what a lot of a lot of people in the community and a lot of people in society wish when it comes to traveling overseas. Yes, you got everybody here who is putting the thumbs up, but when you do it, then people have a problem. When other people decide to go overseas and do their little SYSWM or SYSLM, SYSAM moment, whenever an SYSBM moment occurs, that's when the community has an issue. That's when the mainstream media has an issue. And that's when other individuals have issues. So we're going to go over today certain reasons on why it is that thinking black man can't travel in freaking peace. And we all know the particular reasons why, but we're just going to reiterate some of the reasons and then just get into the analysis of it. So, reason number 1. And first of all, disclaimer. I want to disclaimer this by saying the following. For the very few bad incidents that happen in which thanking BMs or just BMs in general go travel, I'm not talking about the goof troop stuff. I'll talk about that in a bit. But the incidents where you actually see or know about legitimate harm and abuse being done to individuals, you got to stand up, you got to call it out, and you got to distance yourselves from those who actually do harm. So let's get that clear. Now, that is more of, I would say, a requirement if you are going to be in the traveling spaces. Now, this is more of an option. The second thing I'm going to tell and say next is going to be a bit more optional. You don't have to do it, but I would highly suggest it. If you see any baby kid going around bragging on tricking, bragging on getting dimes, bragging on doing all this silly stuff, the stuff that they brag about, Sosua and Medellin and all, Rio, that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about the abusers. I'm talking about the individuals who act like they're big pimping, spreading their cheese while paying to spread cheeks. Call them out too. Not for being bad people, but for just being part of the goof troop. Because that's what those guys are. In my opinion, individuals who have to go overseas to pay, particularly in third world countries. I mean, I have nothing against it personally. I really don't. But I'm not going to high five and give you dap and give you props and give you all this and all that as if you're achieving something. Sit down, get some help. I'm Michael Jordan, sit down and get some help. I'm giving you one of those. So, if you can call me an individual who stands in the middle of the tricking debate, that's my official stance. I mean, I'm not going to criticize you for it. I'm not going to paint you worse than what you're actually doing, but stop it. Get some help. And definitely get help with trying to not having to pay in order to get women every single time you go somewhere overseas. So that's just where I stand with that. But for the legitimate reasons, back to those who actually go after thinking BMs. Here are some of the reasons why they do it. And I'll just go down the list and then we'll look into YouTube land on seeing just some of the responses. So, why thinking BMs can't travel in peace? Well, first of all, let's just face it. A lot of the thinking BMs who travel are the ones who don't have the swag pass. Let me repeat that. Those who travel do not have the swag pass. These are the guys who were criticized for being ELs and not fitting into the script. And let me move this closer. These were the guys who were criticized for not fitting into the script, not willing to do the buck dance and shuck and jive and the two-step and the fetch it the way the community wanted. Yes, there's a way to act in the community. There's a way to function. And a lot of that is basically wrapped in dysfunction. And if you aren't willing to act like a dysfunctional fool, even to a certain degree with the nah means and you know what it is. The shuck and jiving act. Have a little ninja in you, as they like to say. Have a little ninja juice in you. If you aren't willing to have ninja juice, or if you just don't have ninja juice, then these are the guys who are going overseas. And these are the guys who are being scrutinized. You see? Just like Painless Risen says, you see? Those who don't have the swag pass and those who don't have the ninja juice in them are the ones who are escaping. However, those are the ones that need to be monitored the most, more than anyone else. And to be honest, in my opinion, those are the main BMs that are being monitored. And I'll explain to you in a bit later. Because, check this out. With all of the other Bay-Base kids who go overseas, because it's not just the thanking BMs who go overseas. Now, the people in the community, the men, the maggles in the community, the Bay-Base kids in the community, they have now found the overseas escape. And they, just like in America, are Bay-Bay kidding it up, or hoodifying it up overseas. And to be honest, these are partially the guys who are ruining our reputation. But that's a whole nother subject for this is the day for that subject. What am I talking about? This is the day that we're going to discuss that. Because, for starters, you can tell the Bay-Base kids who are overseas from the normal BMs. The Bay-Base kids overseas are mainly the ones who try to go there and relive or just live the rap dream they never could have in here. Even if they were successful with the Daggle or whomever, these guys know that it's still limited in the fact that their money doesn't take them as far here as it does over there. So what do a lot of them do? They go over there and they basically hood it up. They basically wrap it up. They basically try to give that rap image that, you know what I mean, that BET, World Star Hip Hop, and some of them actually try to shoot videos overseas. So those are some of the guys who definitely are on this BS of trying to baby kid it up overseas with their little money that they earn here in order to look like big ballers over there. Also, I mean, if you need evidence, look at the recent rappers and basketball players, especially who have gone overseas. You can be a baby kid and you can be a millionaire and still be a baby kid. I mean, just like how Kevin Samuels says, you can earn high money but not be high value. A lot of those guys who aren't high value are usually baby's kids, especially if they're from the community and they subscribe to the certain mentality of the community. So, as far as that's concerned, let's look at those individuals because I will answer ask me this for the entire audience. Shout out to the 28 people who are watching. For everyone who's watching, have you at one point seen any sort of criticism done towards the rappers, the athletes, or anyone else who fits into that baby kid image with enough swag pass and ninja juice get called out? Do you? Huh? When Lil Jizz and Young Illuminati and their homeboy Fresh Skillet, freaking, yeah, you know, Jarquavius plays in the NBA or Jamarcus plays in the NFL. Do any of those guys get called when they're going overseas? Exactly. MOT said it best. They don't get called out. Zero. They do not get called out at all. But when you as a thinking man come here, oh, that is okay. That's when it happens. That's when the criticism comes out. That's when you want to analyze and scrutinize every little move that happens. Okay, cool. Well, let's go to the second reason. And if you want later on, actually, let me drop the link. Let me do what MOT does. He puts a Zoom meeting in early. Let me just do that right now. Let me do some. How do I do this? How do I handle this? How do I handle this? How do I handle this? There we go. Yeah, let me just do that right here. I know this is not the best way to do things. Okay, let me not do this because you know what? Just show me the history of my video. You know what I hate about YouTube? They do not show you your live videos until it's over. I just want to watch my live videos. I just want a link. How difficult is it? How difficult is it to have the link to my live stuff? Thank you. All right, thank you. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. There we go. All right, so I'm giving out the Zoom meeting movie. And shout out to Mr. Fantastic with the $5 super chat. Little Jizz and Fresh Skillet. Let's go. All right, so I just gave out the super chat. I'm going to let people come in here since we have a decent amount of people. Now, I'm going to see. All right, so let me see. MOT just entered in. Let me be a surprise. Let me do this right quick right here. Admit. Let me view it. And let me see if I can have you admit to the Zoom room. And let me see if this works. I'm going to listen to my own stuff for a second, because this isn't my first time actually doing a Zoom room-based meeting where I'm going to have Zoom in the background. Yeah, I'm telling you how sausage make, people. I'm going to have Zoom in the background, and then I'm going to admit the people in, and let's see if we can hear them through the computer. So let me do that right here. All right, so let's get, while we get MOT in here, let me see. Yep. while we get MOT in here, I'm going to give you the number 2 reason why thinking black man can't travel in peace. And it's as simple as this. And I'm not sure if he needs a password. Maybe there's a password. You know what? I'm just going to put that in there. Hold on. Let me do this. Okay, cool. Oh, you don't need a password to get in there. All right, cool. Anyway, MOT. Before I give the number 2 reason, once you get your mic set up, feel free to let me know if you can talk and see if everyone else can hear you through my computer. All right, well, while he gets his stuff set up, we're going to go through the number 2 reason on why thinking BMs can't travel. Oh, yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is sort of a no ship Sherlock reason, which I'm sure all of you should know on the reasons why. The reason why thinking black man can't travel in peace is because a lot of clean-cut BMs are needed to be the cleanup man and the bailout plan for the community. We all know that. That's something that's been known throughout years, especially if you've been on YouTube or if you've just been in the community. And as we all know, 2020 has left a lot of people not necessarily distressed because... Oh, shout out to Kiyoshiba with the $20 super chat. Santa freaking toast. Hey, look, man, I try to do my best, man. I try to do my best. You know how I tell you guys. But look, 2020 has left a lot of people in distress to the point where they're really starting to look at their options and they're really starting to look at who can help them. And, you know, it's always been a strategy of the community, whether it was the Daggle, mostly the Daggle, and followed by Pookie and the Bebe's kids. A lot of these individuals have always decided that, you know what, hey, since I can do whatever I want, and I can be a big of a Bebe kid as much as I want to be, but yeah, let me go on ahead. MO2, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So, you know what? Before I go on my second part, let's go on ahead and say what you have to say about this, and let me see if everyone can hear you through my computer. But go on ahead.
Yeah, for some reason, I was listening to the stream. I could hear you, but in the phone, I couldn't hear shit.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Can they hear me? Can they hear the one in the chat if they hear me?
Let me see. I can hear you, but let's see if the chat can hear you. Okay, cool. It's good. I can hear you. I can hear you on the stream that I have right now, but can the audience hear MOT? Press 2. Press 2 if you can hear MOT. But yeah, okay, I can hear you. But go on ahead and just say your opinions on what you have to say, particularly about thanking black men who are criticized, whereas everyone else, including the Bebe Kid Negro, isn't.
Well, you have to realize that, and this is a programming thing, like all life, like dumping on guys who they think are not sexually viable within the community has always been a mainstay of most dudes here.
Right.
For some reason. But they have to realize that those days are over. Once you restrict choice, there becomes other choice for people. And when people move on to something else, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Like nobody ever says somebody is the P word because they only date single mothers within the community, right? No one ever says that. No one ever says that they could be the P word because they dress up the biggest bitches known to mankind is sick. No one ever says that. Because here's the thing, we don't even care about what they do. Just so long as they're not trying to boost their credibility by, dumping on us. Nobody cares. Like, you don't see women going around challenging other women on the type of man that they netted into their stuff. You don't see it. Even though they're the ones who have abused the most choice here and we got outcomes from it. So if there's anybody who don't need choice, it's the domestic person. But the domestic person's job is to feed all these clowns within the actual environment sexually. So that's why she gets no criticism for
Yeah,
any reason.
yeah, and yeah, it's obvious that, I mean, the domestic counterpart, as you say, is usually free of criticism under any sort of circumstances, especially when it comes to traveling. I mean, we've had examples of just the how the Stella got her groove back, and just all sorts of other movies in which, I mean, it's push. I mean, what is it? They have all these Coco Fest and Coco Travels and Essence Travels, where a lot of it, from my understanding, is mostly BWs, and it's usually middle to upper age BWs who travel in order to have their fantasies and their world rocked by some fill in the blank rude boy Rastafarian.
Yeah, but this is where we're at. Like I said, like this stuff worked in the 80s, 90s, and maybe even the early 2000s. So people just found another choice and left them to what made them a man. And now that we're not challenging them in the the farming, these N-word farms where these women are at, it's like, okay, now you have 100% access, but it's almost like they get off on black men not having viable options and being forced to pick that only option. That's what it kind of seems like at this point. Because it's always some clown who always comes around, who always finds these kind of talking points in their head. And you don't ever see another culture of men acting like this. You don't. There's plenty of communities, cultures that I go to, and they have mixed race, most stuff. Because of guess what? If they can't find what they want there locally, they just pick somebody else and get off the field. They're not trying to make up terms and words or dancing through this horrific environment and making excuses of how come they're actually still doing the same thing over and over with no tangible results. They got a lot to explain to us. We ain't got nothing to explain to them. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that sentiment, in regards of how a lot of people outside the community, they don't criticize their men when it comes to. Oh wait, fantastic! Let me add you as a mod. So yeah, I got you covered. But yeah, so with that being said, I mean, a lot of people outside the community, a lot of communities, excuse me, genuine communities, even African communities, non-ADOS black communities, they do not put the hammer down when it comes to the freedom that they allow their men to have. Yes, there is somewhat of an expectation that these guys eventually give back or return back, or even if not return back to their hometown or marry within the race. Yeah, there's some sort of expectation that, yeah, you gotta, watch out for those who watch out for you. But that's the operative word. Those communities watched out for the men. So
Yeah.
obviously, you want to at least give back, even if not genetically, financially. It's like, all right, yeah, I'm this dude from the Middle East or from Africa or from or white dude, Asian dude, and yeah, this country gave me a lot, but and even though I married someone outside the race, I still wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for this nation or this community or this country or this neighborhood even. And yeah, okay, fine. I may have a mixed race kid, but ultimately, I'm not gonna forget where I came from, and I'm not going to ever let their things go unappreciated. But we don't have that in the community. I mean, look, it's women first, and I'm not going to even go there. But when it comes to the men who get help, any sort of help whatsoever, guess what kind of men get the help? It's usually the baby's kids. It's usually the kids who end up getting in trouble, usually because of their own BS, and are one slap in the wrist away from going to juvie at best. Notice how all of these help the children, Big Brother programs, these aren't usually towards kids who just need one leg up so that they can get to college, even if it's like a state school, it's usually to help the baby's kids, which is why I'm sure you share the same sentiment with me, MOT, but this is why I'm not in favor of really going back to the community. I mean, that's why I make a parody just saying community.
I mean, I'm cool with it because at the end of the day, you wouldn't have all these women who are single who are 30 and up. Okay, so you can't be single and abuse choice. We know what you did. We were there. And they make it look like they can mortgage the sex they should have and maybe could have gave you into some type of power that they are to cash back in on later on in life. Now that worked for a long time. It worked with the stepdaddy type era, 70s to 90s. It worked very well. And then, you just had another generation of, people who didn't appreciate that. And then people start stepping off. And boom, here comes the online social media environment where you get to see the track record now from beginning to end. You get to hear and see the disdain. You get to hear how women just sit back and think that, oh, I'm a decent woman. No, you're not a decent woman. Look at what you're surrounded by. You may be good according to what's there that's bad, but the best of the worst options are still bad options. You still sat back and watch all this stuff happen. And here's another thing. You can tell the women who are worth it. They don't mind the hatred that they get. And they have a personal life to actually match up to their actual words. This is how you have this hustle shit going in online, where you have decent looking women playing on the heartstrings of men without criticizing the fucking women. And it's disgusting. And it's like, this is what y'all think a good woman is. And it's like, look, you go somewhere else, you figure out how basic forming a relationship is. You find out how basic being around a person that you don't have to watch your back around consistently, like you're in an excited state of fuckery or freedom around. And it's like, this stuff isn't hard. You just been in an excited state for no reason. The only reason was to make sure that you're not comfortable. Nobody wants black men being comfortable in society. I don't know what it's about. I don't know.
And,
Comfortable men produce.
and well, that I think you sort of answered your question. I mean, they probably don't want thinking black men or just black men in general to produce, which is why they give slightly more credit towards black men who are destroyers, as you have eloquently stated in your videos.
Yeah.
But we do have King Sigma here. If you want to unmute yourself, let's see. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can the audience hear you? Press 3 if you can hear King Sigma. This is going good so far. You probably can. So go on ahead, King Sigma.
Hey, what's good with you guys this evening? Thanks for having me up. I mean, it's kind of surprising, but then it's not surprising that, something that was really buried 12 feet deep back in like the summer, fall of 2019, all the arguments were had, all the different rebuttals were made, but somehow this thing has resurfaced as we approach this spring 2021. And I think it's sad because in a climate where we just saw the United States lock down its whole society, and we've seen, up to a third of people lose their jobs, and the economic damage won't even be known for at least a year or two. There's so many things that are so important. And there's going to be a lot of black men that that pent up travel pressure, that after being locked down for over a year, they want to get out, visiting different cities, visiting different states, visiting other countries. And to have so-called thinking black men, these are not thinking black men. I call them viral minstrels, because it would take a viral minstrel to be so excited about the opportunity to get like a couple likes, get a couple AdSense dollars, that they would be willing to put their self at risk, their relatives at risk, other black men at risk, and future generations of black men. This is something that I don't even play around with. I put out like 12 hours of conversation that happened at that time, because I saved those videos and I took them down after everything died down, because I don't even want nothing. I don't even want that kind of conversation on the internet. See what I'm saying? But because of these viral minstrels, it has to be brought back to the surface to combat this propaganda that they're putting out. I mean, these guys, to me, if you really didn't know who was putting it out, you would think this was David Duke, Rockwell, or some kind of neo-Nazi Ku Klux Klan members. So you got to look at them from that standpoint. Like, if a white man put that shit out, these guys would be having a monkey fit if that was the case. But it's actually black men who are envious. Some of these dudes are sexually suspect. And a lot of these guys have a kamikaze mentality where, look it, I need to pay my rent with this AdSense. I don't care if I have to destroy myself in the future, as long as I get that rent paid with this AdSense out. These dudes are horrible, man. This space, what it's become in the last 12 to 16 months, man, it's nothing like it was when I came into this space in 2018. I would never associate with this kind of rhetoric, man.
There we go. All right, yeah. So, shout out to the two recent donators, Club Fortune with the $5 super chat. Too many individuals are showing how sheep-minded they are. Know of the race or community in fights in lost or failing causes. F the pocket watchers. And the Cisco with the $9.99 super chat for the cookie jar. I do have this thing, the sponsor thing in the bottom of the list, but it might be a bit outdated, so let me just do that. Here we go, Oasis sponsors, get rid of that, because now I have that on the side. But yeah, shout out to the Cisco, Club Fortune with the $9.99 and $5 super chat in general. And what you're saying, Kicks, I completely agree. Well, not completely agree. I agree with like 90% of whatever you have said, and probably 99% of everything in regards of men who travel and the men who criticize the men who travel. This is something that is very dangerous to the point in which, I mean, at the very least, you can definitely put in cases for class action lawsuits against certain individuals who have slandered black men who decided to wanted to travel. And I mean, look, this has gone beyond the tricking and the you can't get any snoo in America, that sort of thing, and blah blah. I mean, if it was just that, and be honest, we did have some of that even back in 2018 when YouTube and you can call it over there the Black Manosphere had some reputation or reputable credit to it. You had that, but you didn't have individuals who would take it so far as to say that these individuals are perverts or are the other P word when it comes to that. And for anyone who does that, I can say shame on you, but I mean, these guys don't care. These guys have a reason, and I'm going to go into that reason in just in a bit. But I think the second reason that I wanted to emphasize was that a lot of clean-cut BM, and here's my reason. Before I say that, Club Merchant with the $10 super chat, Minister Dancing Monkey has to use satire to project this false accusation because he literally has no evidence to back up his claim, and it's all done for clicks. Oh, you know what? Yeah, if you guys want to talk about that.
Yes, but here's the other thing. Most cases, especially if cases of that kind, they're pretty public. So if this stuff were happening on an ongoing basis, there would be tons of story, tons of evidence, tons of proof of it. But most of these stories happen like how many of these 13 and 14-year-old girls get pregnant by the actual baby mama's new boyfriend? We don't go around making stories about, see, this is the type of women that you stay around. We never do stories like that. Even though it is quite normal, there is no analog on the other side that they can prove their point. And I'm just saying this, man, we need to start putting suits on these people and taking this shit to fucking YouTube, because if you're going to be slandering the name of black men so that way you can get a goddamn paycheck, perhaps we need to shut the spigot off, because they only do stuff that's actually pretty marketable. Because I'm having a site that's outside of YouTube, and whenever one of these clowns start acting a goddamn fool, we're coming after your ass, legally and otherwise. And this is not even different races of people who are doing this. It's black men who are doing this.
It's not.
I think they believe that they're safe. I think that these guys, that's how I know we're dealing with a low IQ individuals, because they realize that if you get Google AdSense, you're a contractor with Google. Google can, if someone really got together with other content creators, see, they know who they're targeting because they assume, well, these black dudes won't take it personally
Oh,
because
okay.
they,
All right.
you notice that they didn't put Arab. Why aren't you saying Arabs are doing such and such, or Jews are doing such and such, or white men are doing such and such? They don't have the guts, and the white men are the biggest accused and perpetrators of those kind of crimes. But I don't see any channels putting out content where it's saying white men are doing such and such, and these other groups are doing it. They don't have the guts to do it. What they'll do the same thing that goes on in urban Black America in every city in America. Turn the gun on those that look just like them, and they'll do more collateral damage to those that were not involved in whatever the issue was than they will to the actual enemies that they have, even within their own group.
Yeah, and I completely agree to that. That a lot of this is slanderous, and a lot of this can bring a lot of unintended consequences with a lot of, as I said, collateral damage, shrapnel damage towards individuals who are even minding their own business. I mean, I can see individuals who are not even doing the tricking thing getting involved with this, or guys who are nowhere near the quote unquote manosphere. Yeah, you have guys who are associates with the manosphere who happen to travel, like your Dennis Sperlings or your One Master Teachers. Hell, I'm surprised those guys haven't been attacked yet. And if those guys are watching, I'd say definitely, hey, be on the lookout.
Well. DS isn't. It's because he don't bring any critical eye towards them either. I mean, it's like, he's trying to help these people, quote unquote, one big happy family. Trying to because talking about child support and stupid shit like that, that's all community, uncultured, female based content. So long as you're talking about that type of shit and not progress and staying the fuck away from this shit, because it's two sets of people. There's one set of people who's talking about these issues that you're actually going to deal with just so long as you deal with this counterpart within society. Those people are on the free and clear side. Now, the people who's about leaving this shit alone altogether, like not even trying to play this ridiculous game and all this shit, get your resources up and move away and not even have this stuff, that's the other side that they're actually going after. They're not going after, quote unquote, the home team.
And before you continue, I mean, this stuff is smoking, man. First of all, shows in the hammer with the $5 super chat. If the Steve Urkel paradigm, Laura BW, I'll turn you down, make fun, but don't dare find your girl in happiness. Oh, it's the Steve Urkel paradigm. It's the Steve Urkel paradigm. That's a perfect paradigm that we are looking at here. Well, let me go ahead to Kirch is the God with the $10 super chat, 100%. Handshake, brown, hey, brown skin supremacy people, and letters to my people with the 999 super chat. 99 super chat. The rhetoric these haters are spreading is dangerous. I don't want to see passport bros being subjected physically attacked overseas because this propaganda. Actually, it happened once. It happened once. Case in Greece, where the Serbian dudes ended up attacking this preppy white guy fatally. So this has happened. And
these people celebrated that stuff when it did happen.
I remember.
Yes, they did.
If I was, I would get banned from the internet if I was to tell you how I truly feel about these individuals. But you don't even have any clue, bro. Like, do you remember how the Jews after World War II, and they created their own vigilante groups, and they went and tracked down the Nazis?
Oh, yeah.
Remember how they did that? And they tracked down everyone they could find, even if it took 20 years. I'm on something like that, but far worse, bro. You don't see. I've been in law school for a year, and I looked at laws, and one of the things I always noticed is that when you get into the higher echelons of like corporate America, academia, and government, you see less and less black male, native black faces, right? So I understand how critical it is that we protect the little bit of image that we have left. We have the most destroyed, lowest inferior image that's projected onto the world of any group. It's only now that we even have any chance of trying to like repel some of these attacks on the image of black men. And then to have a space like this, and you have black men in this space being co-signed by others, putting out this crap. I'm telling you, bro, like I would get banned from the internet if you knew how I really felt. You got to go look at what the Jews that after World War II did to those Nazis. That's how I feel. I'm on that level with it. Real shit.
And look, and I don't blame you for that. Look, we got to look at it like this, and this goes to one of the second points I wanted to make in regards of the reason why thinking black man can't travel in peace is because I think a lot of these other individuals who are criticizing said thinking black men, they themselves can't travel for various reasons. Either it's because their ass is too poor to travel, simple as that, and that's the best case scenario, or they're stuck in all sorts of BS like child support, baby mamas, just having to answer to having being cucked. Not in some cases literally, but in many cases figuratively by their but even if they're married, I mean they got this ball and chain that they got to answer to, and obviously they aren't trying to have them get off the plantation, if you know what I mean. Or these guys literally can't travel because they have felonies. I mean, hell, you can't even get to Canada with a freaking felony, let alone so some of these overseas locations. And yeah, try getting the passport with a felon. What do you say about individuals, these babies kids who basically, since they can't travel for whatever reason, or in some cases it's just mental. Mentally, they do not see themselves leaving the plantation, and they basically question why anyone else who looks like them has the ability to do so or the desire to do so. But what do you think
Well,
about
it's
those things?
easy. Okay,
Yeah.
if you and I and MOT in a group, the chat were in a room, and there was 10 of us, and there was 10 women, and 3 of us left the room, you would think that the 7 guys remaining in the room would start celebrating, right? Because they have leverage now over those females. So let's say that they couldn't go anywhere. They have to choose from the 7 men remaining in the rooms. That's an advantage for those black men in the room. You would be happy for those 2 to leave. The only reason that the 7 men left in that room would be angry at those that left is because those men went to a better room and they didn't like the options that were remaining in the room that they're in. That's what they're indirectly, what the dick police are saying is that we don't like the options, and we only like the options to the extent that you being in this room allows us to play the dozens with you, while we really don't want to be with these women anyways. But if it allows me to compare myself to you, I get some kind of joy out of that. Outside of that, they don't want to be in that room either. Period.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's worse than that. It's a far simpler reason why. That's one half of it. The other half of it is they don't appeal to no other group. That's why they stay restricted within one group. And they only feel better if everybody else stays and they lord over the other people with their status among that group. Remember, they climbed up Mago Mountain. They're at the top, and everybody else just, why do we want to climb that mountain? Because here's the thing. If the women that they're restricted to have them acting like that, why would I want such women? Why would I want the outcomes that are clear there? So the same people who have all this game are the same people who have all these problems with child support, are the same people who were pro-black, are the same people who had their productivity, decimated because of their current circumstance. You see, when you leave and go somewhere else, you're still going to have to take yourself with you. And if you can't acquit yourself in an environment that's good, you're not going to like environments that are better. They don't want to see better. These are nothing but kamikaze, suicide say bombers, man. That's all they are.
Yeah.
That's what they
They're
are.
insane.
And if
These
you
dudes
leave,
are
and if
insane.
you leave, they just activate and start counting down.
Yeah, these dudes are really something psychologically wrong with them, because when using the analogy to Nazi hunters, one of the arguments that I've heard these cats make, they'll say, well, we wanted, you guys represent an opposition to the tribe. And I'm sitting there like, wait. Let me get this right. Using the Nazi hunter analogy, the reason that the state of Israel could do what they did is because they have sovereignty, they have agency, and they have a jurisdiction that has a table at the United Nations. There is no Native Black American or ADOS, whatever you want to call, tribe. Why? Because Black Americans as a collective group have no sovereignty recognized by no nation on earth, including the white-run patriarchy right here in the United States. But yet these dudes will say things like, well, you're going to another man's patriarchy. And I asked him, I said, whose fucking patriarchy do you live in? You don't own no land in America.
Oh.
You don't own any, you don't control any institutions. You don't run any corporations. So I'm asking myself, where is this Black American patriarchy? Where is this Black American tribes sovereign headquarters at? Show me it. Prove it. Prove it. Because tribes have sovereignty. They're recognized by other nations. They have treaties on display, and they have a contractual obligations to themselves and to other states they deal with. What these Native Black American guys, they have nothing, unless you say Section 8 is sovereignty.
Yeah, well, unless you say swag is sovereignty. I mean, freaking A.
Yeah. I mean, like all their currencies are dead currencies outside of that environment. And they don't like the currency. They just want you to be restricted so that way they can be quote unquote over you. So people have to realize if somebody's trying to restrict you to a bad product, you just move to a better product.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I mean, I'm scrolling down the videos right now of individuals, some of which have it's positive, but you got some videos that clearly show criticism at best and an outright assault at worst on Black men who travel. But this is what we have to look towards. I'm going to take the pessimistic side of this. BW says men want to domesticate it from what kind of baby kid AAVE is this? BW says men want to domesticate it from women overseas.
I think that Black men that are, if you're really a thinking brother and you have that free spirit, you have to think of this as defamation. That's why I don't use any term. In every video I put up, I use defamation because that's how it has to be logged in to the algorithm so that one day see, these brothers are stupid. They don't understand that Black men that travel have a higher income. They're more educated. And if you really rubbed in the wrong way, this shit is going to get ugly on Black social media because you're going to start seeing brothers say, you know what, we're going to make these guys pay. So they're going to pick out someone. They're going to say, okay, you can't go after all of them at the same time. But one of you is going to be a test case for this shit because we know that all you care about is an AdSense check. So we're going to hit you where it hurts. And that's where these guys are taking it to. And I never thought I would see this in this kind of space. But what's happened is that there's thinking Black men have been infiltrated by the plantation niggas. And that's what's happened because, again, that kind of conflict creates the kind of drama that a lot of people want to see. And we can't just put this on American Black women because I've seen more gossip hounding, gossip loving Black men in this space than I ever had in real life. So it's a cultural problem.
It's never the women. Yeah. It's never the women. Yeah. Not this hard. Yeah. Never the women.
Yeah. No, I don't even hear the Black women. For the last 6 months, I haven't really heard much from Black women.
Yeah, me neither. It's always these dudes who claim they got all this credibility and all this untapped potential, within a certain block radius, but they always have part of that, and most of it was coming down on the dudes who they think that the women didn't like. But see, this is why it doesn't matter to women. They already have infinite choice. You can't possibly, it would be a problem if they couldn't find any guy. The problem is they can still find dudes. So what are you doing all this free stuff for?
You know what's so funny, right? Like, to add to what you're saying, while these guys are doing all this caping, do you know how many Black women I personally know that have taken their stimulus check and are overseas right now?
Yes.
Bro, in Jamaica. Do you understand that in Jamaica, it's the Jamaican women that call the American Black women that come down there Stellas. So the typical kind of woman that's going down there, they have Black boyfriends here. They have Black husband here. So while you got these plantation niggas running around defaming and slandering, their woman is getting dug out by the dread dude at the juice bar in Jamaica. He's broke. He don't got no money. He's slinging that thing on the American Stellas. But they don't have no smoke for that shit. Because guess what? He don't got nowhere to go. His baby mama is down there in Jamaica. He's at the crib playing Madden, drinking Kool-Aid, And he know deep down inside that she's on that whole trip getting dug out, but it's nothing he can do, nowhere he can go. So he gets the Twitter fingers, because that's about as much agency as he has. The fucking keyboard. No other receipts, no other track record in the real world. The keyboard, that's his receipts.
Yeah, man, you just walk off from the you know what? At the end of the day, you just walk off from the shit. And I'm sorry, it's just gonna have to come down to flagging these motherfuckers the fuck off YouTube. That's what it's gonna come down to.
Hey, look.
If you're gonna use your freedom of speech to turn around and try to do this shit to your own people, man, fuck your existence. Man,
yeah, they don't seem to understand that defamation and slander and libel are not protected speech, and that's at the legal level. But we're talking about here on YouTube. If enough brothers get together and they start going to YouTube and claiming that black men, we are a protected group. People forget American black men are a protected group, but the emphasis is always on black women as a protected group. We're both protected groups under federal and state law. So if enough brothers in this space start linking up and saying, you know what, we're going to get together and we're going to create like a memo and send that shit to YouTube, demanding that they protect the rights of black men as a protected group, they will respond eventually. Trust me. We are a protected group as well, black men. But everyone forgets that because so much emphasis the last 12 years has been on black women, black women, black women, black women, black women, black women. No, black American men are a protected group as well. And defamation, that should no person that would ever come to one of our panels or be a viewer of any of our content should ever be sitting in the audience, laughing and giggling about some shit on another person's panel that's doing this. But that's what happens. A lot of the audience, I be seeing this shit, bro. I'll see like people that are in my audience, and I'm a small, irregular content creator, but then I'll see these guys over at the other side, cheering them on too. You see what I'm saying? So they'll be on you'll see them in your chatter and comments, and they're cheering. You'll see them in this person.
I started blocking. Yeah, I started blocking them, and that's why I don't know many people are able to even chat in my shit anymore because I blocked them. You're not gonna be here on this duplicitous bullshit over in one place saying nothing while things are happening, and then like coming over here trying to act like things are cool. Hell no. Why would I do that? But you got too many alliances, man. You know, you gotta pick a side and stay on it.
Nah, this isn't one of those kumbaya kind of situations. Like when it comes to the plantation bros and the freedom loving brothers, there is no treaty that's gonna happen. There is no negotiations gonna happen, bro. These are two people that are opposed to each other's existence, and you would love it if we could just exist in our own spheres and just keep shit moving. But no, they are not happy to be in a sphere where there are 7 guys in that room with those 10 or 12 women. They want to go to the room that you're in. They want you stuck in the room that they're in. So you can only deal with them in a very aggressive kind of way. And eventually, dude, they're already pushing the button. They've hit the hornet's nest enough times now that one of the bigger content creators is going to get stung and he's going to have regret, giggling like a fucking viral minstrels. Mark my word. They've already hit the hornet's nest enough time. And when brothers start putting their resources together, putting their minds together, watch what's going to happen. It's coming, bro. It's going to happen. And one of these larger guys is going to try to get in on the anti-travel game. And that's going to be the motherfucker that gets zapped.
And hey, look, for those who want to play those kind of games in which they go after the traveling bro specifically on stuff that is heinous, I'm not just talking about you can't get laid here, so you got to go overseas and do whatever. Look,
no. When you say that shit, I want your ass gone too.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
All of
they make this argument, but it's so stupid, bro. If these guys can't get laid, or they're not getting laid, you should be celebrating. Yeah. These are guys that are not in your competitive market. They're giving you leverage. I'm talking about not just the guys that are doing this game shit. I'm talking about even the guys that said that they want to save the plantation, whatever. Those guys should be celebrating that these guys are gone because now they have more leverage over the remaining women on the plantation. But here's what they won't tell you. Most of these dudes fear Big Mama.
Uh-oh.
They fear Big Mama more than they do Dad. They have a fear of Big Mama that's in the back of their head. They cannot check these women. So when they start talking this tribe stuff, the black women come out and say, what do you mean tribe? Black women are a separate group.
Oh.
What they call these dudes conquer, bro. The same women they're trying to save are rallying and cheering each other on to the tones of 30,000 people live. You know what I'm saying? You guys are conquered. You guys are bees. You guys are losers. You guys are broke. But yet the same dude will sit and listen to that and be in fire up a stream talking about this dude just got on the plane and he went overseas. I mean, this isn't. I can't even wrap my mind that I'm in a space that claims to be thinking black men, and we're having this low level, juvenile kind of conversation that until I came to YouTube, I had never even heard in my life.
And yeah, I completely agree with that sentiment. First of all, before I get GameChanger on here, get the likes up, people. 41 people here. It's probably the best I've done in months. This is the kind of content you guys want, so I'm delivering to you in defense of thanking black men traveling. And all I can get, get these likes up, people. Let's get down to business. We got some of the biggest hitters, and we got the defense force of thanking black men in the building. MOT, King Sigma, and now GameChanger. What do you have to say about all this?
Hey, what's up, GC?
Hey, what's going on, Sigma? MOT, Xanatos.
Hey, what's good?
So yeah, it all comes down to everybody in the black community. Black men want to be seen as that dude. They want to be seen as the dude that get all the ladies, and everybody wants to be a player. And you know, it has to be relative to someone else. So they're going to always attempt to highlight a group of guys who don't seem to be getting it like that. So they create this trope of a guy who is traveling because he can't, find a woman to sleep with him domestically, which, like MOT was saying, it really shouldn't matter. Like if, there are guys who travel who can and cannot find sex or love in the US. And I don't see why that would be a problem of any type, because there's guys in the US that can and cannot find sex. So it's to point out traveling dudes is I don't know. They're just looking to say, I get more than somebody. And those get a lot don't really have a need to say that.
Oh, you're touching a third rail.
Well, kind of like smart
protection.
people. Well, kind of like smart people don't have to say, "Hey, look at those guys in the yellow bus." Like you just don't. Like geniuses don't really have to do stuff like that. So, when you are doing that, it kind of shows. It highlights how unsuccessful you are in your own personal love life.
Correct. What it is a Jedi mind trick on top of projection. That's all it is.
True.
Because, look, in the community, we all know, I mean, if it was so easy to get snoo in the community, then why is it that we need all this game? This game and this swag and this doing all these magic tricks and doing the backflips and the monkey dances, all that kind of stuff. Note that no other race needs to do it, but black men. But we are the only ones who are basically told that you need game in order to get a BW or any woman to cooperate with you, black man, because you bring nothing else to the table and all this other kind of silliness. I'm glad.
But I don't like that false narrative though, because here's the problem with that narrative though. If I'm telling you, you can have her. Like, just imagine you and the homeboy, right? Y'all go out, you bring a broad back. He's like, I'm not gonna have sex with both of you. It's got to be one of you. And then one of the guys ain't even interested in her. He's like, hey, you got it, man. And you go and you're like, man, I'm gonna go to bed, bro. And he comes knocking on the door like, bro, you sure you don't want her? Man, something wrong with you if you don't want her, bro. She said you got her. But he says, you know what? I'm sending her home, man. And then he spends the next day with your other boys like, man, he didn't even want to bang. These dudes are goofy, bro.
Hey, goofy.
These guys are goofballs, and that's why, like, it's not surprising that your average dating coach, these dudes say I got XYZ formula. I got Dexter's laboratory formula for getting vagina, but then they end up all getting exposed. They can barely get a 5 if they lucky.
Yep.
This is what we're dealing with, bro. So I'm glad that this shit is happening because it needs to come out. And you got guys selling guys $19.99 plans and then using shaming tactics,
Yep.
fear mongering to try to get them to buy stuff, because it's a Ponzi scheme in the sense that Xanatos game package, but he's laid up with the fat girl. But his goal is to get that OnlyFans model. His goal is to get that IG model. What do I do it? I have to be able to convince enough suckers online that I'm not laid up with Precious. You dig? So if I can just get enough suckers online to fuel and fund my Ponzi scheme, maybe I'll be lucky enough to be able to pay and trick on the same women that I was complaining about other men going to get. That's their whole game.
Look, and before we continue, let's go on ahead and shout out these other super chats before we forget. Freaking OW504 with the 504 super chat. 504. World Travelers United, salute fellas, passport posse. And Walt Diesel, not Walt Disney, but Walt Diesel. You know, that's a good, you know what? If I were to do an OnlyFans and the girls that I have on there and have my fun with do cosplay Disney princess characters, Walt Diesel would definitely be the name of said individual that I would take up. But Walt Diesel with the $4.99 super chat, great panel. I'm on my third passport. Shout out to you, Walt Diesel, and shout out to you for that name. But yeah, it's a good thing that you all are bringing up good things that we are noticing, because check this out. I mean, a lot of these guys who are, let's just say this, they're brag maxing. They're brag maxing about how many hoes they get. These are the same guys who were brag maxing about, oh, I got these many hoes and I got this much swag and look at me in the club and doing all this other kind of stuff. While at the same time, you seem to be no threat, because according to them, you, I, and whomever else is watching here or is on this panel, oh, we can't get any snoo. We can't get any scraggle daggle razzle. Even though we've shown multiple times that outside the community, all of us on this panel have no problems with getting what we want. But it doesn't matter towards those in the community. You aren't playing our game. You aren't playing by our rules. You aren't playing in our house. Our house, known as the former rotten corpse of the so-called black community. Shout out to Kirk Jones. But yeah, I had to get that in. And shout out, hey, Kirigakide, if you're listening, come back to YouTube, man. Come on, it isn't the same without you. But yeah, look, the other reason why I think a lot of these guys are getting butthurt and have their man pawns on, because it's not the women, it's the men. So we got to call for what it is. These are man pawns. These guys have menopause. And I think the reason why is because, especially with the 2020 incident of beer flu, I think they're starting to realize how important it is to have a lot of clean-cut black men, thinking black men, needed in the community to be the cleanup man and the bailout plan. And
Correct.
Any sign of deviating from that, or any trickle that they see, or any threat of any message of any that poses any threat of any of those thinking black men to come back to save the community, the baby's kids, the daggle, the homosexual, that's a threat.
Well, obviously, you can see they're giving away the fact they have no field experience. I was just at the gym that's near my alma mater, and it's it's a 60,000 student campus. You know what? The first thing I noticed when I was in the parking lot, across the street there's like a student housing, right? I saw a brother walk out. Guess what he had? An Asian.
Uh-oh.
Now this is a brother that was like 20, 21, and it stood out in my mind because of course I've dealt with Asian women, but seeing the young brothers like that, and he was walking hand in hand with what looked like a Korean girl.
Uh-oh.
He wasn't more than 21. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting there like, wow, these dudes online, they have no clue what's going on in the street level, and that's how they give themselves away. These young dudes under 23, they not hearing this plantation shit. So what you got a bunch of dudes that are 45, 55, even in their 60s, trying to sell younger men on a model that didn't even work for them.
Correct.
It didn't work for them. If they had solved these problems 20 years ago, when this whole travel bonanza began with the ATMs, global and all that stuff, they could have changed it then. But how are you guys gonna come back in 2021 and be like, oh, you know what? We were overseas when we were 21. We were banging this and that girl at 21, but we don't want you to do it. this shit is I just can't wrap my mind around it that I see this stuff right here online and the people in the audience are clapping and cheering to this dumb stuff. It's ridiculous, man.
No, what it is it's the same group of people representing the same group of people. Like I said, my younger nephews, none of them they already say nobody's even giving most of the so-called good-looking girls in high school a look. Like good-looking, like younger black women are like feeling the goddamn pressure to like act like other cultures of women to get the black men back on track to even dating them. And it's because of the shit that they went through in their peer group, and they already seen the stuff, and now they've already been warned already. They've already been warned. They're now taking the actions that Generation X should have taken in the 90s. They walked off. And guess what? If you're not going to have them change, then they're going to keep being walked off. So now the only people who are here are the 30 and 40 something year old dudes who are actually part of the group of the people who are left behind as well. Everybody isn't being satisfied within this marketplace because if ones are having kids, you can't really compete with that.
But these aren't even real street dudes because I got street dudes that I'm related to that have been overseas. One of my cousins, he was the one. He oh my God, the Jamaican woman that he brought back here. Oh my God, this woman was a 9, body was a 10. Right now he ain't no college educated dude. He's not no Poindexter. He strictly came up in the street life. That's what he know. And he was the one that told me, you need to start getting around, moving around, go see some of these countries. Because again, you got to remember, have we all forgotten that when we were like in junior high and in high school, when they had those videos with Snoop Dogg in Rio, Pharrell in Rio, Ja Rule in Rio, it wasn't your dude that's under 40 that came up with the travel trend. It was the guys that are between like 43 and 55 that really started the trend. And it started with the rappers because the rappers started going to all these places like, I remember when Busta Rhymes had that thing called Arab Money. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he was talking about Dubai and how he's out here in these. So it really started with the rappers. But for some reason, these guys have forgotten that it was Snoop Dogg and these guys that got turned brothers on to Rio. It wasn't the working class guys. It wasn't your typical white collar Poindexter lawyer dude. No. It was the rappers that was like, I got this money now. I'm moving. And I remember the video. You guys go look up the video with Snoop. It was Snoop and Pharrell, and they on the beach in Rio, and you just saw these gorgeous brown women with Snoop Dogg and Pharrell, and you was like 12 years old. You was like, that's what the game is when I get 18. That's the game when I can travel, because that's what happened to me. Watching MTV Spring Break, that's how I made my first trip to Cancun. Because I was sitting up in the crib with my roommate, and he over here talking about going to a club. I'm like, bro, I'm fucking going down to Cancun. And he thought I was joking. The next year came around, I called everyone I knew. I said, hey, I'm going to Cancun next month. Who wants to come? And our spring break was a good one because it was with like Arizona State. Man, oh man. And I only was able to get like 3 or 4 guys to come with me, and we lived. Oh my God, it was just
I'm telling you, man. This is shit. I'm going back to Mexico before I go back. You know what I'm saying? Before I finish taking this whole month off, shit, I'm going back to Mexico next week. Going to Mexico next week.
Nice. Are you going to Cancun?
Stuff.
No, I'm going south, way south.
Oh, so you're going away from the tourist locations.
Oh yeah.
I mean, shout out to the tourist locations, but see, the real jewels are the places where the other Americans aren't going.
Cool.
I agree. That's why I never mention like, cities and specific destinations, because then that's a new hotspot, and then it'll become too touristy.
I heard that
tourist destinations is great if you want to meet a lot of like-minded brothers.
Yes. And the
you
dudes that you meet,
go for it.
The dudes you meet while traveling are the dudes who you want to be around. They already got all this stuff, and I'm telling you, you're gonna make a lot more. Like most of my business connections were made while traveling, I rarely make indie in the United States. It's mostly dudes who already got their stuff together at like these conferences and other types of things. I never try to make any business contacts in the United States. It's always with dudes who got something to lose, just like I do. So trust me, you're gonna get hell of a lot more out of traveling when it comes to the Rolodex department than you are trying to find these needle in the haystack dudes within the United States. That's
true.
another reason to travel.
That's true.
And for all of you, and this is Snowbunny Sunday moment. Shout out to Solo TV 84, my co-host. We will have more in the future, I'm sure. But for all of you guys who are lamenting about how, oh man, white women aren't checking me out or Asian women aren't checking me out in the States, and because, well, yeah, and we're going to talk about that little incident, or these little incidents that are happening with the AAPI community, which I do not condone. But if you're so concerned about not getting the best AWs or white women here, go down to those locations, because the barrier that is the United States culture and the environment and all this other kind of stuff and the social stigma, all that goes away when you're overseas, even in a place like Cancun, Mexico.
If you're talking about snow bunnies, I've never seen a time in my life where it's easier to knock a snow bunny. These white girls, bro, like, they're so aggressive and they're so perky and they approach you. If you just go to the grocery store, you look left, white girl is waving at you, smiling at you. Everywhere you go, you in the gym. I was just in the gym, and this white babe, she was about 5'2", 5'3", probably weighed about 120 pounds. But she had like the nicest buns. Bro, she was slim and fit, but she had a bubble, like this ass, and I'm sitting there trying to work out. And she, I got the mask on, but my eyes just kept going, and I'm just looking at her because I'm like, I don't know what cities these dudes live in that don't understand that. Other races of women are in competition mode to secure a mate because it's so hard out here to find a quality man. So you got Asian girls in the gym, Latinas in the gym. I'm talking about with bodies that are out of control, and they're available. It's just is what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
so
that's because that's because the margins. Basically, a white woman's goal and an Asian woman's goal is love, marriage, baby carriage. And that's 100%. So no matter what, like 100% of, I shouldn't say 100%, but a larger percentage of those women are out actively on the market and seriously looking to consider a mate, versus maybe I would have to say like 30% of Black women are serious about finding a mate. And here's what I mean about serious. When a woman is serious about finding a mate, if she doesn't get everything she wants, she's willing to compromise. That's how you know a woman is serious. See, a woman could say, oh, yes, I'm looking for a man, but I only date guys, like take Miss Average at best. I only date six-figure guys. Then you're not really serious. You just want somebody to add to your income, but you're very comfortable being alone without versus being with a guy who makes high five. You just are. So most Black women aren't serious. That Average at best is not actively on the market. She's not even reasonably, you wouldn't even count her as an available woman to mankind, because let's face it, six-figure mans ain't gonna want to be with her, and she's not gonna be with anybody that doesn't make six figures. So she's just stuck. Most Black women are like that. So you have a lot of Black men vying for the attention of very few Black women, and they're using that to their advantage.
And King Sigma, shout out to you. And I don't doubt what you're saying is true. You said you're in San Diego, right? Or you're in Minneapolis, so you see.
Yeah, I'm in Minneapolis right now.
So you're where my.
I'll be back out in San Diego soon, very soon.
But
I used to live in San Diego.
Yeah, so San Diego, Minneapolis are probably two of the least segregated, two of the least racially contentious cities, not bearing the recent incidents that happened last year with George Floyd and Flint of Castile, which I'll be honest, I think a lot of that is probably more or less due to jealousy than anything else, because from my understanding is Minneapolis, like you said, like Solo TV says, and San Diego, with all the mixing that goes on down there and the proximity to the Mexican border, those places are among some of the least racist locations in this country regarding the black male image, or at least when it comes to non BWs or just women outside the
Exactly.
race dealing with
I'm
black men.
glad you said. I'm glad you qualified it because see, out here, the issue, the racism that you'll encounter is more in the workplace. That's where you encounter it. In college. You don't ever encounter it for the most part. It's a very liberal, open kind of environment. But where you start to encounter your racism as a black man is when you get into the economically competitive areas. Sexually, up here, no one cares. Like, so I was driving on the highway, and I've noticed more and more. I was obviously, we already know about half of the black men are with non-black women, but I'm noticing more and more over the last 2 years that sometimes I'll just look over and I'll see like a raggedy car with a white dude driving, and guess who's in the passenger seat? A black chick.
Mm.
Well, I've noticed a trend of that as well. So on a sexual marketplace, it's open as hell. Like, you go to any of the clubs on the weekend here, at least pre-COVID, I mean, the white women approach you here, dude. You don't got to do anything. If you're just a decent looking guy with clean clothes on, the white was at least one white woman is going to approach you, bro. I'm talking about they're aggressive. You go to the bar, they start a conversation with you. I had a bad day. How was your day?
Huh.
Oh, you know, there's such and such. Let's get out of here. They're telling you that.
You're taking me back to Salt Lake, dude. You're taking me back to SLC.
I got it. I want to, you know, another city out there I want to hit. There's a lot of cities I'm going to hit after COVID, but Salt Lake is one of them. Denver, Portland, and even Boise. I heard about
Boise. Yeah. Boise's pretty nice.
I'm getting
Nobody's talking about that.
And that's why I don't like talking about it, because everyone I know that has the niggerish mentality, they will say they want to move to like a Charlotte, Atlanta, something like that. I'm not going that route, bro. I'm either going west or I'm getting the hell out of this country, period.
Hey, that's what my channel has been built on, regards of recommending where black men, non-hood, non-baby kid black men go. And I'll be honest, a lot of people say, oh, why don't you do your traveling videos of when you're in Seattle and Albuquerque and Phoenix and Vegas? Part of the reason was because of what you just said. I really don't want the baby kids going there and ruining it, because they've done that to damn near all the country. They've done that to Los Angeles and the Bay Area. I mean, yeah, there is an element of racist out here, non-black racist. It's heavy out here in the Bay Area and in LA. But there are a lot of babies kids who do just as good of a job ruining it, which is why I am sort of now what you said about the Asian women with black men, the young ones anyway. Now, and okay, time to put my conspiracy hat on, folks. I'm warning you, this is conspiracy hat, Paul Joseph Watson, tinfoil hat news. I think, and let's just say this, I do not condone any of the attacks that happen on the AAPI community. None of them. I don't condone it, and I especially don't condone it on the ones done by black men, for two reasons. One, it's just wrong, and two, it makes us look that even worse to a group of individuals who don't have the best reputation and taste of us, particularly those who come to the United States, and Asian Americans. So I don't condone it. I'm calling it out. Some people want to say it's fake, it's scripted, blah 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 blah. Well, no, it's not fake. None of that is fake news. That stuff's real, and any black man who does that, in my opinion, needs to be considered for that death penalty, not just because of the attack itself, but because of the degrading of the reputation of black men, something that we're already dealing with as is. But now, here's where my conspiracy hat comes on, the tinfoil hat. I think a lot of this is being done, besides, before I get to that, okay, you have to, okay, so it's something God, I'm not sure what it is. $5 super chat, a lot of game getting dropped in the stream, appreciate it. Hey, anytime. But I think the reason why we're having all these recent stories of these attacks on the AAPIs are because too many black men, not too many, but there's an increased amount of black men who are getting with Asian women. And I don't think a lot of the United States media or the powers that be want that to happen. I honestly think that a lot of individuals who come here, particularly those from the East, there are a group of men who feel entitled to them to the point that if they decide, meaning Asian women, AWs, decide to get with the quote unquote oppressor, especially, that's the last thing they want to do, or even if they get some sort of dignity and not feed the egos of men who, particular WMs, not all WMs, but particular WMs, who otherwise would basically be in the incel zone and would go pow 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 wheels because they are inadequate for some reason. I think a lot of that media, that hype is being done to basically halt a lot of that black male, Asian female relationships. Because remember, some of the lowest divorce rates, they want to talk about the highest divorce rates being black men and white women. The lowest divorce rates, some of the lowest divorce rates are amongst black men and Asian women. And I don't think certain people in this country like that.
So I have a separate theory or an additional theory to why this, you know, this violence against Asians is occurring right now.
Yeah.
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I strongly suspect that, and I'll make a video entitled this, Keisha and Shanae has abandoned Pookie and Ray Ray.
Yes.
Oh.
They have. And they have for quite some time. Now, Pookie and Ray Ray's selling point used to be money, you know, like dope money, drug money, illicit gang goods, and protection. And now, reputedly, they have shown that they are inept at offering both or either. So, you know, like the money has went away. The crack money is gone. It was gone in the 80s. You know, they tried to keep the reputation going in the 90s, but now it's completely gone. And now women are calling them dusty and lame. You know, every when they say dusty, that's who they're talking about. You know, let's be clear. They're not talking about Kevin Samuels, that's for sure. So, you know, so with that, they want to reestablish some type of masculinity, some type of, you know, rah, 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 you know, I'm so hood. You know, they still want to establish something like that. And they're picking the weakest target that they can find.
Correct.
You know, they're not going to do it with a white dude. His cousin might be a Hell's Angel. They're not going to do it with a Latino dude. You know, his cousin might be a Norteño. You know, so, oh, let's pick this guy, you know, and that'll make me look so hood. It's really just, you know, trying to advertise themselves as protectors by picking on, yeah, like I'm so hard because I knocked down a 91-year-old Asian guy. You know, now will you love me, Keisha? Now will you love me? That's kind of how I look at that.
I mean, and that's something that, you know what, I wouldn't doubt that, but that's definitely something that I didn't even consider. But I mean, when you put it like that, I mean, it could be a possibility that a lot of these guys are trying to, I mean, since they can't go after, yeah, as you said, they can't go after the white male because obviously they have the power in this country, or even the ones who don't have power, their cousins or brothers or friends could be part of Hell's Angels or something like that. And as I said, same thing with the Latinos. Or could be a cop. Yeah. Exactly. Could be a cop, Hell's Angels, and same thing with the Latino. He may be homies with someone in the MS-13 or Norteños, Soreños, whoever. But before I give my points, shout out to Jaws2003 with the $5 super chat. Plenty of shade being thrown on brothers getting with AWs. I experienced this in the Philippines as a black man. Southeast Asia is a gold mine for us. And yeah, just to add to my point, I think Southeast Asia, Japan, not so much Korea and was it the PRC. I've heard mixed things about them. And I honestly think that this is an attack in order to ruin our chances, the BM's chances to go there and find our own happiness, even though we make up only 6% of the population. So if we all dispersed out to certain parts of the world, then wouldn't you think that a lot of society would be happy because they wouldn't have to deal with us anymore? I mean, you would think that that's what they would rather have us to do, even if we all went to, like, say, Africa or the African Caribbean countries or whatever. They don't even want us to do that. It's a damn shame. They don't want to even us do that. They want us to stay here. And I'm just talking about the mainstream media, the powers that be. I'm talking about the community and the usual suspects. They don't even want us to talk about going to Africa and getting with a Lupita or something like that, or going to the Caribbean or South America and getting with a black Latina. Shout out to Devin Sperling and what he's doing. They get mad over that.
Yes.
Ultimately, bro, what it is, see, again, you're destroying the game that they're playing, because if you accept that, hey, you know what, I can't get the kind of quality woman I want within this jurisdiction, I'm going overseas. Do you understand how much it cuts these dudes, the idea of seeing like a guy, let's say you're a black man that within that community, you can only get at best a 5, right? And then the other guys within that community, because they're playing a different kind of game, let's say that they're able to get the few 7s, maybe an 8. Because again, I make the argument that most of your 9s and 10s, I hate to tell you, brothers, but I've seen it. A lot of these are the women that the white dudes are knocking off. As quiet as it's the most desirable black women in America in this generation, in this incarnation of the sexual marketplace, I'm telling you guys, and you don't want to listen to me, but for my Bottom Shelf Brad series, I do a lot of research on the dating app. And these women are getting with these white dudes on the low. The only thing they're having a problem with, they can't get the ring on average. Yep. And these dudes don't want to be seen in public with them. But a lot of your most desirable black women are getting knocked off by white dudes. So these dudes, they don't like the idea of GameChanger because they kind of tried to make him the face of the passport of this situation. And they don't like the idea of a guy like him who's in the software field and all that, a nerdy dude, getting with no chick that here would be an IG model. Because again, if GC is laid up with Beyonce, right, your chances as a black man, even with a solid income, of getting with a chick like a Beyonce or a young Lisa Ray type or a Nia Long, which are the most beautiful of the black women in America when they were in their prime, you're not getting with her, bro. Your chances as a regular dude that's an accountant of getting with a young Lisa Ray, you're competing against fucking LeBron James, bro. Now, what happens if GC goes and he just takes a flight to Colombia, and next thing you know, he posts a picture and he laid up with a young 20-year-old Spanish-speaking Lisa Ray? Bro, come on, man. That shit breaks these dudes' hearts, man.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. Yeah, but it's unacceptable on just a dude. He's laid up with the 7, and within that environment, you saw the situation with that dude Derrick Jaxn and his concubines. Look at them all. None of these bros they weren't beautiful. These weren't beautiful women. Here's a guy, here's a guy who's a plantation buck looking guy, but yet even still, these women were 6s and 7s in the face. And again, they got makeup on, so I don't know. But what a guy like him is forced to get, and he looked like he tried out for the San Francisco 49ers or some shit. But then you see a guy like GC, and he's laying up with Beyonce in her prime, and all he got to do is take her to the fucking Costco and get like a one of those pizza ovens, and she's begging this dude to come back, and that's unacceptable to the community plantation bros, bro. It's unacceptable. That's an act of war.
GC, before I get to you, GC, shout out to Charles. Active war. Shout out to Charles Merchant with the $10 super chat. The internet is the only medium for the goat and retrievers. It is to communicate their disdain for passport bros. But yeah, look, GC, look, you're a software developer. And because of that, obviously you're making above 6 figures, even though in the Bay Area, I'm assuming they still probably treat you like a whatever, unjustly, because the Bay Area is like super fucking racist in my opinion. I don't care what anyone says. But nonetheless, so I don't blame you for you wanting to leave weeks at a time. So kudos for you for having the money to do that. But look at this, you especially. They see you, and us as well, they see all of us as bailout plans who are not following our role. Just like The Rock says, know your role and shut your mouth. That's what they want us to do. But we aren't doing either one. So that's the reason why a lot of these people are getting triggered. That's the reason why a lot of these people are doing freaking exposure videos or trying to slander us, or at the very least throw little roast shots. It's like, oh, you can't get any. I'm like, dude, no, this is not middle school. This isn't your little ass around the way corner store block that you can pull those kind of games and win the argument because your homeboys are there and they're laughing at your corny ass jokes. No, this is the internet, and we have men who, well, before this is just showing all the mistresses. Yeah. Speaking of, let's go on Derrick Jaxn for a minute. All right, cool. In the community, right? I mean, Derrick Jaxn, and you know what? I have nothing against him personally. I mean, granted, shout out to the Bonnet. I know the Bonnet's been getting like the worst heat more than Derrick Jaxn and even his wife. But look, if Derrick Jaxn, and yeah, he did cheat, he did cause an affair, he did do an affair, and he should get the roasting from it from his wife. But why is it that you have all of these other women? Granted, I'll be honest, this is all temporary when it comes to the women. He's gonna bounce back. He's gonna become stronger than ever. I call it right here. This is the old trick that they're doing in the book in order to transition from relationship guy to preacher. That's
religion,
exactly. That's what's gonna happen.
It's about to come through.
But look, even with Derrick Jaxn and all the muscles, I'm not hating him on the muscles at all. Derrick Jaxn, if you got some pog receipts, you hit me up and we'll get an episode of Snow Bunny Sundays. You mean Solo TV 84? We will discuss that. Or any of this mistresses, any of the pog mistresses. And if you're your pog, pretty ass white girl, or fat ass white girl, and if you were with Derrick Jaxn, hit me up at XanatosClutch@gmail.com or Solo TV 84, and we will interview you. Jaxn Jackson.
Reverend Jaxn. Sound like a reverend too. Reverend Jaxn.
Hey, we will feature you here on Snow Bunny Sundays. Well, not here. This isn't Snow Bunny Sundays. We're solo. But no, we will feature you. But all jokes aside, Derrick Jaxn, with all the mistresses that he had, look, with all of that muscle that he had, I mean,
that's all he got to qualify for.
That's all he was able to get. I saw the mistresses, and you can't see him here. I mean, is this all he was able to get? Seriously?
That combined with him being rich, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the same women he was bilking the entire time, and you still couldn't get better than that. All right, man.
And publicly rich. And in addition, so you're right. It's the market is very bad, and I think that a lot of brothers don't want to admit that. They want to admit that, you know, oh, everybody else is having a bad go at it, but I'm not, because, you know, my game is just so spectacular. No, like, you know, if you go to any website, especially the ones like any dating site, especially the ones that cater to Black people, like Black People Meet and stuff like that, and you type in just about any zip code, you're gonna see some trash. You're gonna see like a lot of trash. I mean, Xanatos, we could do it locally. Like, we could do it out here in the Bay Area. I haven't, you know, I did it on my show and I did Georgia as an example, but, you know, we could do it out here in the Bay Area. I bet you it's just some trash. Like, you know, and then you go to, say, you know, Columbia Cupid or something like that. And then, you know, you'll see that it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. You know, you can't deny that.
Okay, GameChanger. You don't even need to sign up for it for the website. You can just download the apps. There's an app called BLK, standing for Black, and it's basically the dating app for Black individuals. So it's going to be mostly Black people on there, right? Mm-hmm. Everywhere I've gone where I've ran that app, including here in the Bay Area, your premise is basically on point. It is just an insult to see.
Man, inundated with trash.
Who's that dude that be doing those Old Spice commercials? Terry Crews.
Mm-hmm. He used to.
That's Derrick Jaxn is like on some young Terry Crews shit, boy. You supposed to be going to the events where like all the NFL players are, and you ain't gotta say nothing. You just show up, dressed like the NFL guys, right? The women there are gonna assume that you like a linebacker. You're supposed to be bagging Miami 8s, 9s, and 10s if you got the amount of money he got and you got that kind of, stature or whatever. This dude was banging the same women that the fucking guy Pookie's banging, right?
Yeah.
He was basically banging Pookie's baby mama, except for I did hear something about a doctor chick, but we know that you could be a doctor, but culturally they're just as ratchet as any other hoes in America.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Go to PG County. That's the epitome of that.
Yeah. We meet a lot of those. I be seeing a lot of corporate ratchets, man. It's shocking.
Ooh, man, I've been around a lot. King Sigma, trust me. Like these corporate women, they take their cars, they go to the communities and pick up some of these young dudes, and them dudes are so happy to get some or any, and then they just drop them back off and go on back on their life. And then you got this dude bragging to everybody else in the world that he got to ride around the car and be this stuff. And next thing you know, they're online being dating coaches.
Mm.
I think that might be a lane that Derrick Jaxn, he might try to flip to the men. He might, if it's not the pastor game, he might try to join the red pill. He might become
red pill Derrick.
I mean, at least he got receipts. He got some receipts, right? Like these other dudes, they got 0 receipts. At least he can say, well, I did. They go my 6 right there. They go my 5. Her body, I know she got butter face, but I mean, her body is a 7, At least he got some receipts. But man, this situation that we're in as Black people in America, it's a tragedy in a lot of ways. All jokes aside, it's really a tragedy because there's no cultural gatekeepers, because there's no culture of value, because there's no standards. So this is what we have. A dude like Derrick Jaxn can pander, make all this money off of these single mothers or whatever, go against, be a total hypocrite, and then get invited into the only remaining institution in Black America with any kind of resources as an institution, the Black church. He becomes your leader of the Black church in 2023 because he's going to do the TD Jakes, Kirk Franklin. Yeah, Creflo. He's going to get with those guys, sit down with the woman with the bonnet, his wife with the bonnet, and they're going to go, read a couple verses on BET Soul or some shit like that. A year from now, he'll talk about how he's going to seminary school, and he'll be like a assistant deacon pastor to Creflo Dollar. Next thing you know, boom, he's a pastor of the largest church in Atlanta. This shit is crazy.
That's the career path.
Oh wait, look. Look at this. This ship is smoking. It's on Foxo. What the? He's already on. So yeah, look, freaking Derrick Jaxn, his first mistress. I'll be honest, his first mistress would be the same kind of chick. Even though she's a single mother, it would be the same kind of chick that a lot of these bebe kids would definitely put up some ship to get with. We jump through hoops, do the little swag dance. I got game, I got swag. But the second chick, did you all see the second chick that Derrick Jaxn?
Yes.
Oh! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey, you know how Derrick Jaxn could, if Derrick Jaxn had, it's another way he could play this too. I was saying this on Mr. Fantastic's panel, right? So, how they got that show America's Bachelor and how they had a Black dude on there this season?
Yeah.
But it ended on a messed up note because with all the racial stuff going on, Hollywood tried to create that little racial angle. They did it all on purpose. Oh. So it ended up that he dumped the chick that he chose, which was a white girl, because she had some kind of racist comment, quote unquote, in the past. But we know that this is all, part of the narrative with the Black lives. We know what the deal is. Now, what you do, because that season ended like that with no bachelor or bachelorette relationship, you bring on Derrick Jaxn. But here's a couple of the requirements. All of the women have to be above 165 pounds. And they all have to be dark skinned. You have a bachelor with Derrick, and those are the requirements. Because how they got this little body positivity movement going on. And then they got like a little host, have Lizzo be the host of the show, right? You got Lizzo as the host, and Cardi B is the relationship expert. And then you have Derrick Jaxn on there. And then you have all these Buffalo dark-skinned chicks. Do you understand that he will be redeemed? Because they will be in love with him again. They'll be like, we got Derrick Jaxn. Man, there's so many ways Derrick could play this shit. He can do the Hollywood thing. Because again, those are the kind of things that these women push, that they can get men that have the great physique while having a horrible physique. So he could be the next Bachelor. No women under 165 pounds. No women that are more than a caramel complexion. Lizzo is the host, and then Cardi B is your relationship expert. They'll eat that shit up.
Oh man. Look, as far as that's concerned, I need to do a story on that Black Bachelor conclusion script. News at Night, watch out for that. Of course, they weren't going to have it end happily ever after because he chose a white woman. Of course, this is the American Bachelorette. This isn't the UK version of the Bachelor or Bachelorette. This isn't the Canadian version. This is the American version. So what else do you expect? So we will uncover that. Nobody else is mentioning that. But yeah, you're with Derrick Jaxn. The second woman. So what am I? I'm looking at this news now. I'm just seeing the news about the woman who was pregnant. Oh, was this the same one who was the doctor?
Yeah, the doctor was the one that was pregnant.
Oh wow. Oh okay.
Because doctors, apparently aren't educated on unprotected sex and how that works.
Not at all. Biology, something that you don't take as a doctor.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, human anatomy and reproductive. Yeah, why would a doctor know about that?
Yeah, but the professional, it's all about the professional grade, and I got a job out, man, and that sort of thing, and enough of that. Poor Derrick Jaxn. I almost feel sorry for him. I almost.
Almost.
Yeah, but about this, look. So Derrick Jaxn, tell me this, and before we get off Derrick Jaxn, what would happen if there was a white woman, especially a pog, who ended up revealing herself as having an affair with Derrick Jaxn?
Oh God, it's done. He's done.
Yeah, they could forgive, what's going on currently. I mean, all they want is validation. That's what they really want more than anything, is beauty validation. So what that does is it just goes from the beauty validation, and yeah, he's done. They'll support anything you do as long as you're validating that beauty.
Yes.
But or what happened if it was of a light-skinned chick or a biracial chick? Uh-oh.
Man, like if he would have been caught with some
yellow
in
bone.
their prime Lisa Ray type shit, I'm talking about out of this motherfucking world fine. Oh, that dude would be done. It'd be fucking over. These women would be burning this dude at the goddamn stake.
I think one of the women said she was saying something about the skin tone. Like, yeah, if it was really pretty women, yeah, they would have been way hard on him. But then when they look in the mirror, you see, that's what I was saying about The Bachelor. Because again, these are women that are in his audience that look in the mirror and they kind of see themselves. So when you talk about that average is best that GC was talking about, the average is best girl's like, well, damn, I know he's a cheap bastard, but I could have got with a guy like that. They start, see, it gives them hope.
Yep.
It gives them hope.
Exactly.
They can still be sexually irresponsible now. They can still get big now. There's no consequences in the future. Because look, the lady who with Me Too, she still got a ring from a guy. So I can get one too. That's what it is.
And that's really what they want. They need that hope. They want to sell that narrative. And they want to sell the narrative that nothing is broken on their end. It's all on our end. As long as you do that, they'll support anything you do. Like even if you were like a legit Black Klansman, like they would support that. Like, yeah, but you see that he wants to be with a Black, it's like, really?
Man, I don't know what. I'm glad I don't live in the places that a lot of these people live in, because again, up here, another trend that I peeped up here was that a lot of the Middle Eastern girls are choosing up now in 2021.
Yep.
Like you're starting to see a lot of Indian women, Pakistani, Afghani women. They're starting to choose up, bro. Like,
yep.
And I'm gonna tell you, the little peanut butter complexions. So I'm starting to notice a lot of the Middle Eastern girls up here, man. Oh man, I don't know if it's the hip hop. I don't know if it's Barack Obama, but I've noticed a trend where, sure, a lot of their families be having that old country racism stuff, But in this generation, like the under 30 kind of broads, hey, they out here choosing, man. If you got your shit in order and you catch one of their eyes, do not hesitate to approach one of them now, because that they choosing up in 2021.
See, I'm at the freaking Soul TV before you. I'm heading to your hell. You too, freaking King Sigma. I gotta check out Minneapolis, or hell, even Minnetonka or Mantaco or whatever small town in Minnesota, because you're making Minnesota sound like a province in Canada.
I mean, it's no different. I mean, it's no different than like a Toronto or a Vancouver or a Denver.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the guys I talk to that leave here, right, that are used to this culture, because I told you I'm moving west myself, but most of my friends have moved to places like Phoenix, Denver, Portland, Vegas, San Diego. The shit is the same things going there. They're all very
especially in
similar.
Denver, man.
Yeah, Denver. I'm always hearing guys telling me that are from here that go to Denver. They're like, bro, you go to the club in Denver because they got the weed out there, right? A lot of these dudes want to go out there, club, and smoke weed. And they'll tell me like, yeah, I was out there in Denver. They're choosing up out there. And it's interesting because if you look at Denver, Minneapolis, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, you know what they all have in common? They were all sanctuary cities. So in the 90s, they were sanctuary cities. So they brought in all these Asians, all these Africans. Because again, you talk to women here that are from Africa, right? And I'll talk to them and they'll be like, yeah, I got family in Seattle. I got family in DC. I got family in Portland. And these are like East African women. And in San Diego, they have a lot of Somalis. And people don't know that. But it's so, bro, I'm telling you, man, a lot of these immigrant women that are like second generation Americans or first generation, bro, I don't know what it is about American culture, but they will, maybe 30 years ago, it would have been hard as hell to get one of them when Denzel did that movie, Mississippi Masala. But I'm telling you right now, in 2021, that IR dating shit has exploded, man.
It has. I mean, for black men, the barrier is gone. Like, back in the day, in the 90s, as you described, you did have something to lose in the endeavor. If they had websites back then and, you were looking for a black woman, the trash that you see now wouldn't be up, like they were slimmer. They had a higher concentration of women with real hair, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They were just higher quality women back then. So, black men really didn't have a reason to consider other groups of women. Now they have every reason. And also back then, it was kind of understood that, if you was reputed, if you was marked by the beast, for being a guy who dates interracially, you lost your chances with the plurality of black women. And you didn't want to do that because they were still in shape and pretty and childless. Now, not so much. Like if black women were to clamor together and say, oh, you never get none of this again, like we really wouldn't give a shit.
Well, all I could tell you is that up here, bro, like I've talked to some of these white dudes and they be telling me, man, they brag about it now. Did you guys heard about what Tom Hanks' son did the other day, right?
What?
Okay, so Tom Hanks' son went viral. So he's one of these Wigga type white dudes. He put up a hashtag called White Boy Summer, right? And the shit went viral because it was so many people, attacking it, memes. Like, what do you mean by White Boy Summer? Some thought he meant by the Klan and all that. But if you went and read his thread, and it's hundreds of thousands of comments, there were white dudes in there saying, man, I be banging black chicks all the time. You guys are stupid if you don't think I just saw an army of white dudes, right, in this thread because they were being attacked as being KKK and shit like that. Their defense is always, well, I have a black girlfriend. I banged a black girl last night. I'm not racist. That's one of their excuses, right? And all through the thread of White Boy Summer, these white dudes was talking about how they be clapping black girls' cheeks, man. I didn't see any black women running in the. What was interesting? We had all these black men in the thread, right? But there were no black women disputing what these white dudes were saying. None. And this shit was viral the other day. But there were no black women coming in like, these white dudes argue with us. And I know so many black women that are professionals, right? And they will tell me. Now, they don't tell the whole story. You know how they are with the half truth, right? They'll say to me, they'll be like, yeah, I went out and these white dudes were hitting on me. It must be some kind of fetish or something. And I'm sitting there like, when you say hit on you, they never get to the part about the white boy hit it. It's always, I was out with my girlfriends and these white guys are just hitting on us. They have like a black fetish. And I'm sitting there like, bitch, I haven't met not one of you bras that admits that you date these dudes, but then I go out and I'll see you walking in Target with the white boy. But you won't admit it. You know what I'm saying? Or I might see you somewhere out with the dude or in a car. It's going on, bro. Like, it's probably the most quiet kept secret in America right now. But these white dudes in 2021 are running through black women, bro. Running through them.
Well,
you meet a girl that's under 30, go talk to your average black girl under 30 who makes more than 40,000. And if she's like, between 25 and 30, ask her, have you ever dated a non-black guy? Ask her. Just ask her.
well, that's. I mean, it's natural that they're doing that. That's more to what I was saying before about how black women, are, like I say, Keisha and Shanae is leaving Pookie and Ray Ray. Let's be clear. They're leaving Pookie and Ray Ray, and with black guys who are not Pookie Ray Ray, they see some resistance through shows like ours. They assume that they're not welcome, so they just kind of go where they can. And also, there's no conduit for it. Like any black event is going to just be flooded with Pookie Ray Rays and Keishas and Shanae's, and then you just not want to go. If I open up a nightclub today, eventually a Pookie will smell it and then start going, and then that'll bring the Keishas, and then next thing you know, the whole venue's change. And like regular black men can't get with women like that, like the ones that you see with the white dude. That's a problem in a black manosphere, or excuse me, just in a black diaspora in America, period. So that's a problem. But I mean, what you describe in Sigma is them trying to leave. They're just looking for a place to go. Like, a lot of them confuse black men, the plurality of black men, with Pookie and Ray Ray. So that when they say they're not messing with black men, they're really saying that they're not messing with that particular archetype. But they wouldn't
Yeah.
turn down Michael B. Jordan, or Kevin Samuels even. Like they're just saying that I'm not going to mess with this particular archetype of black man that they identify as black.
Anymore.
You know, some of them
Yeah.
anymore, but some of them anymore. But remember the age group that King Sigma is saying. Like, these girls are coming out. Like, I'm not gonna mess with that. You got to keep in mind, that these girls were born after the '90s, like after the glory days of Pookie Ray Ray.
Yeah.
So it's not like what Xanatos was going through, where the girls hit their peak in it.
Yeah.
Girls were born like they think Ice Cube was just a guy that make family movies until NWA came out. So, or Straight Outta Compton came out. So you're dealing with a whole generation of women who never seen New Jack City, and they like, something, this isn't. It just looks stupid, and they don't want to have any part in it. So I could see why what Sigma described is on point.
Well, these girls grew up with like Justin Bieber type dudes. A lot of these white wigger kind of guys, and I'm telling you, bro, like their mentality is different. It's
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a different frame of thinking, and once again, that's another reason why you have like a lot of people who seek to get laid off of the Pookie Ray Ray archetype. That's why they're a little upset, and that's why they're attacking other groups of men,
Yeah.
particularly as Xanatos mentioned earlier, Asian guys.
Yeah.
another factor is that because again, like you mentioned these homosexual kind of guys that are dying out, and I think what it is that in the eyes of a lot of these women that we're talking about, they look at it like, if I'm gonna have a homosexual guy laid up, then I might as well get a poor white guy, a poor Mexican dude. I think that's how a lot of these women think now. They're like, well, I'll get a Mexican dude or a white dude, because I was at an eatery a couple weeks ago, and I remember something that stood out to me because there was this regular looking black chick. She was probably like, 20, 21. And she walked in with this Mexican dude, and he was like 5'3". And I was thinking about how in this space, guys are always arguing about the height thing or whatever. And they're arguing over that black broad. But I'm at the little spot, and this Mexican dude, sagging pants, little Mexican guy, he was like 5'2", 5'3". And the black chick was taller than him. And she was an average looking black chick, 5 or a 6, and she was young. Because a lot of them chicks, they be peaking at like 21 in the black community. I don't know what it is, but out here, a lot of black women peak around 21, 22. It's like the finest black woman you'll see is about 18. And he was like 5'2", 5'3". She was in there ordering his food for him. He didn't even say anything. They walked in together. She did all the ordering. They walked out. He was like 5'3". She might have been 5'5". And she was the kind of chick that if she comes to this space, these dudes would be caping for her and cashing her up. So explain that. Explain how that woman was with this little Mexican guy. He don't fit none of the stereotypes that I'm always hearing about here, but yet he's banging that broad, bro. He's banging it.
Well, no, they're doing it. They're doing it out of just spite, really. Like when I see situations like that, I'm under the impression that they're deliberately trying to invoke jealousy into black men.
Correct. I mean,
oh, really?
maybe. Okay. Yeah. So, go ahead. Go ahead, Jason.
No, it's because it's too. They're a little too in your face with it. You know, they're a little too. You know, oh, there's a black guy. Let me hug up on this. You know, on this guy. There's a woman who comes to my show, and she's young and relatively attractive, and she's with a 40-year-old white skateboard dude.
What?
Yeah. Literally, he literally skateboards, and he's poor at that. So, and they're married. This isn't like, but she's constantly on my channel, just talking crap about black men. So basically, what they're doing is, because you would think somebody like that would just go on with their marital bliss and be happy. The fact that she's here means that she wants us to like. That's the goal. I mean, I know it's hard to understand that somebody would go to that extreme to make a group of people jealous, but
yeah,
I mean, women, they'll do that.
Understood.
Yeah, but it's like men do the same shit. It's like the men who are stuck are trying to make us jealous that they stay in and that they're getting what they want.
True. Well, the men aren't deliberately making themselves stuck just to make us jealous. Like they're not doing that. Like they're stuck because of poor life decisions that led up to them being stuck now. I mean,
yeah, circumstantial.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
So what I'm saying is they're stuck, but they want to make it look like it's a prideful decision for their life outcome when it's just some shit that they knew or now know that other people are winning way more and way harder than they are because they didn't make those decisions. So they're trying to make the bottom look like the top. And the people who are at the top and have the best type of chances, they want to make them feel like shit so that way they can compete with their level of masculinity when you just simply don't have to. It's too much evidence that stuff doesn't work. And it's obvious to everybody but them. This is why they're out here in full force claiming that they got game and all this other kind of stuff to kind of justify being in those circumstances. And if you just acted like me, then you'll get what I get. Well, if you don't show receipts of what you got, then what do you actually have?
Oh, true. And that's another difference between them and these swirlers who are trying to spite. They actually have receipts because they have the ability to go out and get,
Correct.
pants dude at any point. So, they have that ability to show receipts where the guys that you were describing, they don't.
But they're running into a lot of problems, though, the swirlers, because a lot, with this TikTok thing, a lot of these Asian, Latino dudes and white dudes are going ham on these swirlers, bro. I mean, like embarrassing them publicly because there's a lot of white dudes. They're not really cool with the public knowledge of them banging these chicks. And so these girls worshiping in the way that they do. These white dudes are coming out like, we don't put you above white women. Latino dudes are coming out like, I don't put no black broad above a Latina. Like they're literally there's been a couple viral videos out there of like white dudes capping and going in on black women who were like in a chat with them. So it's not like they were strange women. They're like in a chat, like on a panel or something, and they're with these black girls, and the black girls are saying things like, nothing looks better than a white man laid up with a black woman. And these white dudes are so uncomfortable with the idea of that shit because they know how to get on code, right? They don't
real quick.
Yeah, they don't confuse sex with business and image. So they're like literally checking these women on these TikTok apps for the whole public to see. Like, no, you got it all twisted. You're cool and all, but I would never put you above a white woman. They're doing shit like that, and the black girls are they're just so stunned because they don't really have a response, but to say to the white dude, you're a racist. But this is the same white dude that for the whole hour you were on the panel with them, you were kissing their white ass. It's the whole situation is just I don't even know what to make of where we're at right now in America. But I think Black people as a group are very confused about their identity and their status here in America. I think they're very confused about it.
Yeah, and let me just say this before we get to King Sigma Jones. And does anybody recognize Black Curls? Is he? Was he? In
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He's cool. All right, cool. I'll let him in as well. Before the two of them speak,
I'll let Black Curls. Xanatos, I gotta peel up, but I'll let Black Curls be my spot. It's been a great conversation. I'm glad that you did this. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, yeah. Thanks, King Sigma. So we had King Sigma and we had King Sigma and Sigma Jones on here. Oh man, King Sigma, I believe. But nonetheless, I just want to say this: my channel and our channels in general are not about trying to relegate and tell BWs on the lovely ladies, as Dennis Sperling likes to call them, who they can date. If they want to date white men or Latino men or Asian men, then I'm all for it. And quite frankly, there have been some American Black women, or just Black women in general, who I know who otherwise, yeah, they're outside their race, but they have actually defended me and have held me up more than some Black dudes even. And you know, I mean, salute to them, salute to those individuals, but that's definitely more of a shame on the Black men who, for the most part in this country, have just been at best just sitting on the sidelines and, you know, just holding their own nuts and just not showing any sort of brotherhood whatsoever. But nonetheless, yeah, we do not condone any sort of fadge policing any more than we do penis policing. So that's just more of a disclaimer on this channel. So with that being said, let me see who else is left. Sigma Jones or Black Curls, whichever one of you is ready, feel free to say your piece.
Your point you said, XanatosClutch, about, you know, badge and dick policing. The thing is with the BW is these men always had access to them, and we've never were able to stop them anyway. So if these guys really wanted to get at them, they'd get at them in mass by now.
Yeah, and to be honest, yeah, you have a point as well, in which BWs have had access to WMs ever since American history has begun. But the rates that we've seen when it comes to WMs marrying BWs is quite low. I mean, we all know that WMs, when they do go out, which a lot of them still haven't, but the ones who do go out usually get with Asian women, followed by Latina women. So, I mean, if look, say what you want, but when it comes to who do they choose as far as white men, we see who they choose, and like it or not, it's basically anyone but BWs. And when they do choose a BW, she is either the non-stereotypical BW, the one without the sister girl attitude, or the one who isn't in the danger zone, who calls
Valley
on
girl.
Kevin, yeah, the Valley Girl kind of Black woman that I wouldn't mind having a family with, or just being with. Granted, if we were to have kids, they would be born in Canada for other reasons. But that's the kind of woman that I wouldn't mind getting with. And hey, look, if you want to go SYSBM with that, all I'm just going to tell you is don't have Black kids in the United States. Do some get an overseas gig, send them to an overseas private school, whatever, international school, or at the very least send them to a Canadian school or something, because that ADOS mentality, I'm telling you, that you got to protect that from your children, regardless of who you get with. If it was
has to be erased by all means necessary.
Exactly. That ADOS culture needs to get erased. Not necessarily the Black race. I know everybody understands about the Black gene and that sort of thing, and we are not for getting rid of the Black gene and that sort of thing. But that ADOS culture, that Scruggle culture, that community ghetto culture, it needs to be erased, because that is the thing that is going to be used, I believe, in the future to get rid of all Blacks. I won't go into details on why I think so, but yeah. But as you were saying, a lot of the white men who are choosing Black women, either they are the Valley Girl kinds that we wouldn't mind getting with, or they are non-ADOS BWs, either Black women from Latin America, from Africa straight up, or from the Caribbean. But yeah, I completely agree with you, Black Girls. If they wanted to, they would have gone with white men a long time ago. I mean, we saw what has happened in Latin America. I mean, a lot of BWs over there were able to get with white men, and henceforth the big mulatto class that you see in certain countries that are bigger than it is out here. Sigma Jones, what do you got to say?
Well, first off, MOT, you okay?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. But no, you guys are pretty much spot on. I think because I was talking to a peer of mine last night, and we was kind of talking about how this with the passport and anti-SYSBM brigade has sprung up again, like a never-ending cycle. Number one, like Black Curl said, first off, for all of these pro-wax and whatnot, if you want to blame somebody as to why Black men now have access to other races of women, which means that improves their quality as far as with other women, blame the Supreme Court case Loving versus Virginia. That's who you can blame as far as Black men now having the freedom to venture out without having to be lynched or without having to be killed for it. Because in honesty, it was white guys who wanted to make their interracial relationships legal. Black men, yes, we could go about it in America, but it was a high risk that came with it. It was only when Loving versus Virginia came about that got rid of all of the miscegenation laws that all of a sudden now you're starting seeing droves of Black men being able to date and marry outside of their race. So again, I'll tell anybody, want to get upset? Loving versus Virginia. And then secondly, to kind of go with your point, Xanatos, on your famous three fates of Black America, we're now at this point in the stage where if there's going to be a so-called Black genocide, as the pro-wax would like to call it, they're the ones that's forcing it to happen. When you have the brain drain that's going on, and you can see where the top quality guys, at least with a bachelor's degree, 33%, which I believe that number is increasing. But the last time I checked, 33% of Black men who have at least a college degree are marrying out. You can't blame anybody but from within your own interracial group. If you're making an argument of why you have to go overseas or why you have to go elsewhere when the women here are just better, then surely other men should be coming to America in droves to get with your women. And that's why Xanatos, I remember we had a side conversation on Straight Shooters video, and you asked a rhetorical question as far as like, why is it then that the feminists will all talk about, having to be over here. Yeah, having to be over here and everything, and why men have to go outside and whatnot. And I pretty much answered, said, well, there is a reason why feminists from all over the world wants to come to America and nowhere else. That, to me, should make any man kind of think logically, why is it that feminists from all over the country, all over the world wants to come to America? And you brought up a good point, Xanatos, talking about how Canada is definitely a pro-feminist country, and you still get a better quality of life, but yet majority of feminists only want to come to America and nowhere else. To me, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I was making a point on how the feminists, most feminists from around the world want to come here, and most of the racists from around the world, particularly the, I guess, POC anti-black racists, want to come to the United States. They don't go to Canada or other countries as much. They don't go to the UK or anywhere else in Europe or any other place that a lot of people are migrating to. I noticed that because it's like, yeah, we got, there's there's your San Diego's and your Seattle's, Minneapolis's, but when it comes to the Bay Area, particularly the ones who come here and to an extent Los Angeles, they just have that racial mentality that I just don't. I definitely didn't see when I was in, say, like Phoenix or Vegas or even Salt Lake. And Salt Lake doesn't have a lot of non-white people in general. But yeah, like even in Seattle, you don't see that. From people who are living in Minneapolis, you don't see a lot of that. But a lot of the immigrants who come to places like the Bay Area, like freaking Los Angeles, and like these other urban cities, New York, Chicago, to a certain extent DC, they Miami for sure. It's a lot of racial undertones that you get when it comes to those individuals, and even in places that aren't like super racist. I mean, I guess you can throw Seattle and yeah, you can throw that in some of these other bigger cities. The feminists come here as well. They come to the United States knowing that we don't have free healthcare, our schools aren't the best, our transit systems aren't the best, our taxes in reality are just the same as those socialist countries, but they don't go to the people. They instead go to corporations or just, let's just say, lazy people. Because let's just be honest, the welfare state in America is much different than the welfare state or the welfare use in other countries where they actually care for the disabled, the homeless population, etc., seniors. But yeah. So yeah, that was a good conversation we had. But I want to, and I wish King Signal was here to discuss this, but I believe we have a good enough audience to discuss this. I actually want to spend the second half of the show talking about the solution to all of this anti-black male traveling slandering. I want this to be sort of how should I say this, a think tank of sorts in order to come up with ways that we can counter this, besides the things I said. But yeah, anyone going ahead. It's free fire. It's free mode. Weapons off. Hell, if you want to roast some of these penis patrolling passport guys, going ahead. But yeah, let's make this a productive session overall.
The quick solution is take away the power. What they're doing is they're attempting to shame. That's really their only tool.
Exactly.
Black women use it too. Thanks, Carlos. Yeah, black women use it too. And that's all you have. It's like, really? So say, in the Bay Area, XanatosClutch, you were to get with a non-black woman, and she was to come up, as black women do, another black woman were to come up and say, hey, why are you with this woman when there's so many sisters around? Just ask her, would you like to suck my penis? Here's my penis. Feel free to suck it. Would you like to suck it? Go ahead and suck it. It's here, suck it. But she won't. So she just wants to shame you out of that relationship without putting lips on your penis. So I'm saying that to say this: just take away their power to shame. I was on Bernard Riley's, some guy, Wayne's Gym. He comes up and he says,
what?
Yeah. Some guy who owns a gym, he said, you do realize, he's talking about the stove situation, what you did was tricking. And my response was, okay, it's tricking. Yeah. So what?
Actually, Bernard even pointed out he donated 300 on Perfume Summer's stream.
Who? What? Hold on.
That's right. He did want to be seen as a wealthy guy or a guy with money to burn. He basically made it rain on a show that's very popular with women.
Yeah, the same guy who shamed GameChanger for spending less than $200 on a stove turns around and drops.
Already had sex with.
Yeah, who already have sex with. It's going to turn around and drop $300+ on another man's stream who his content is pretty much catered to women. Make that make sense.
Well, he's paying for the possibility, he's paying for the possibility of future sex.
All right, who is this? Was this? All right, so you're all spilling tea right now. We need to harness this tea in the proper way, just as Tasha K is doing right now. Which, spoiler alert for all of you out there. Guess what? Those three individuals are not the only ones who Tasha K has up her sleeve. She is harnessing this like no other. She is a freaking
Yep, she definitely
genius.
is.
But let's do our own little harnessing. Who put down the 300K super chat to whom? Because was it Bernard Riley or the other Wade's, well, whatever his
Okay,
name is.
well, the workout Wayne guy, Xanatos.
Workout
okay,
Wayne.
so he disagreed with GameChanger about the whole tricking thing, but then he goes on this perfume guy. You know, he talks to women, tells them their unrealistic standards. You get who the guy is now?
Yeah, Mr. High Value.
So he put a $300 super chat on that guy's live stream.
Okay, so we gotta be fair with this. So how would we equate this to him trying to trick for the possibility of sex?
He's trying to flaunt that he has money so that the women can flock to him.
Okay, all right, I can get that. I can see that theory being
and pretty much he pretty much contradicting himself, because that whole thing on Bernard's chat on Bernard's stream, as he was going against GameChanger, he wanted to make it seem like, you know, you're less of a man if you got to use money to bring something, make things happen in your life per se. Then it's like, then why would you drop $300 on another man's stream and publicly in front of everybody if you're saying using money is lesser than a man if you can't, so to speak, use your physique or use your mouthpiece?
Okay, so he's one of these game guys. He's one of these game guys. Yeah, okay. Oh,
pretty much.
Hey, we can't hear you, MOT. You're like way up.
Yeah. Okay, so
there we go. Better.
So me and Curls, Black Curls, was interviewing aluminum scrap metal, and then like after that, this guy comes up. Wayne's Gym come up. So Wayne's Gym pretty much said he don't care if it's fraud. If there's no protections in society, they get to sell it. Buyer beware. Pretty much that's what he said. Buyer beware, out the window. He doesn't give a damn.
Don't knock the hustle.
Yeah, don't knock the hustle. That's
there you go. Oh, he's using that play. Don't knock the hustle.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah,
King
so
was on it too.
And, yeah, and also for let's call him by his real name, Platinum Elite, talking about he don't trick and all that stuff, but he dropped money on Jessica X on her birthday.
Oh,
but he don't trick. Now, not like Jessica X, but that guy should know that how he carries himself online. You can't be doing that, bro. But hey, that's what happened. And it's like, it's okay when they do it. They have justifiable reasons when they do it, but nobody else can do what they do.
Which, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of the latter points I was going to make about this travel and stuff. Now, a lot of these individuals, a lot of the pro game guys, the guys who are going off at dudes, talking about why you traveling, though? You can't get any pony here? A lot of these guys are pissed off that they didn't do it first. They should have the first dibs according to the community for femininity and cooperation and even tricking. They should have been the ones who paid $200 for a stove. Hell, they would have probably paid $400 for a freaking stove if they had it their way. But GameChanger, you beat them to it. You beat them to the foreign punani that looks looks as good as freaking Cardi B. No, it was supposed to be Pookie Snatch. It was supposed to be freaking Charquavius's snoo. But no, you freaking educated lames. They're beating us to the punch again. So, of course, if we can't do anything else, we gotta shame them. We gotta cook them. We gotta roast them. And those are the ones who are actually fighting above the belt. We weren't even going to talk about the guys who are punching below the belt and using the R word and the P word and all this other kind of stuff. Those guys are scum, as far as I'm concerned. I won't even deal with those guys. But the guys who are freaking want to cook and make little middle school games out of this, you guys are still some dozers. You guys freaking... I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Man, I need to put that on there, man. Shout out to Solo for that. But actually, Solo got that from me. But I'm letting him use it. But stop it. Get some help. But yeah, back to the back to the round table, back to the working group about what we're going to do to counter these guys and to protect our image and reputation whenever we do go overseas, so that they won't have any arsenal against us. And before I do that, I want to shout out what's his face? Sigma King Sigma Jones right here. $10 Cash App. What's good, man? So shout out to the Sigma Jones. Let's see, I'm mixing up names with the $10 Cash App. But let's continue with this think tank.
Well, there's really no. I mean, they could point their arsenal all they want, and they could shoot all they want. I mean, it's rubber bullets at the end of the day. Like, it's blanks. It's like, oh, if I travel somewhere and have sex with attractive women, you could say all you want. Like, nothing you really say will harm me. Like, that's the whole thing. I mean, I'm not doing it to impress you. I'm not doing it to impress some guy on the internet.
The opinion of a guy on the internet.
Like, is that the purpose? I mean, sleeping with beautiful women is a goal in itself. Like, they think that it's a means whose end is to impress other men. It's not. Sleeping with a beautiful woman is an end in itself. Like, that's the end.
Right. I mean, I get it. I mean, that's the goal for a lot of these guys who they try to put it on us, the thinking man, that that's all y'all want. Y'all want to sleep with the girls that I was able to sleep with in middle and high school and college, and I ran up your university and got with these chicks while you all were studying in the freaking library. You aren't getting any. Yeah, right. I mean, don't get me started on I was Netflix and chill. Freaking forget Netflix and chill. That wasn't around in the late 2000s. Dude, I was LimeWire and chilling it. How about that? What do you know about LimeWire and chill? What do you know about Napster and chill? What do you know about freaking Adult Swim, Toonami and chill? Huh? You didn't know about that, huh? Oh, what about Library and chill? Oh, dude. This one time, I went to the library, right? And it was just me. It was some movie I wanted to watch. That I never got to see, and it was called Alien, as a matter of fact. And apparently they had it at the library, so I went down there, and guess what? I actually came across a chick. And anyone knows who Jason who you need to get your name? You need to change your name, bro. Jason, what's his? All right, I'll admit him for a sec, but I mean, that. Anyway, I'm going on with my story. Yeah. So I ran across this chick who was also getting the movie because it was a slow night. Lo and behold, she recognized me from the library. Then we ended up talking, and guess what? Freaking Alien and chill. How do you pull that off? In the late 2000s, 2007 to 8, something like that. Oh, while these guys were going to all sorts of parties and flossing out their drug money and their swag or whatever and getting the floozies, I was getting with the cute library girl who recognized me earlier when I was studying. And you know what? There was no muss, there was no fuss, there was no drama, there was no game, and there was no swag needed. So I want those guys who want to paint us in a picture of not getting any and doing all this other kind of stuff to basically explain that. But yeah, let me see who else we got here. There was some other guy who joined. Dude, I'm not sure if you want
the Jason dude.
Yeah, the Jason dude. I'm not sure if he wants his last name out there, but what do you have to say about that?
You can rename him before you talk. You can do that as a host.
Okay, got it. Oh, really? Rename? Okay, got it. All right, I'm just gonna get rid of his last name. But yeah. But while he's getting his mic together, yeah. Look, that's what they want to paint us as: individuals who basically have no luck here in the United States. We're socially awkward, doing all this other kind of stuff. And okay, yes. Looking at me right now, I wasn't as buff as I was back then. actually 11 years ago I was in the gym, but 15 years, 16 years ago I was not as buff. But yeah, and yeah, I'll be honest, it was a bit harder for me to score or whatever, but it was easy enough for me to actually it was easier for me to score in the whole perspective of things than my counterparts because I don't want to brag on myself, but I was the kind of guy who went to instead of going to the club and doing all sort of kind of ratchet stuff and trying to like hang in with the community and show how cool I was. I mean, I did that a couple of times, but honestly, I thought that was dumb. I thought that was um I thought that was just dumb. I thought back then. So I was the kind of guy who ended up at like house parties or whatever, or just chilling at my friends' houses or whatever. And a lot of my friends were on the other side of the DC area, the DMV, and the girls we did meet and the girls I got with then, and this was with me not being as uh, built up as I am now. I don't remember having to be the biggest pookie or the biggest um, swag hack or having the most game on the block. I don't remember needing to do any sort of crime or any sort of sling any sort of dope on the block or whatever to show how much cred and status I have in order to get these women wet. Yeah, there was some. Okay, there was one person we know who sold whatever, but it wasn't so much that he was getting all the chicks and we were getting none. We all got our fair share, but I didn't need to do as much as a lot of these game guys are claiming that you need to do in order to get with decent looking chicks. I mean, you had a freaking chick who I'm not gonna see what she was trying to do because that would make this video go on Patreon. But hey, look, I was in the middle of uh, freaking Halo game, me and my boys, and then this chick literally tries like under the sheets just to do whatever. I mean, and with other dudes there, and I'm like, okay, dude, all right. But yeah, look, those are the things that I experienced growing up. Those were the things that I had without this hood game, without this hood swag, and whatnot. And I'll be honest, the reason why I say that is because yeah, half the women who I had the experiences with, especially in high school and college, were these foreign women or were women who were first generation American from whatever country. And the attitude of these women was a lot more refreshing than even the American white chicks. I mean, around the
Yes.
2000s, yeah, around the 2000s, I think that's when a lot of it started to change, or at least that's when I noticed it changing from, the decent looking or the hot, sultry looking white chick who would be down, DTF or whatever, um, to just, with a little attitude on her, with a little mean girl streak in her, with a little I think I think I'm the head of the cheerleader squad, although I didn't get on the cheerleader team kind of attitude. You know that kind of stuff that some American white women have. And you know what? Yeah, I ran into some of that. But did you know how I circumvented that? Well, foreign exchange students.
Yeah.
And and not to say that I struck out completely with American white women either. No, there was some who were cool. There was some who were down. I mean, granted, they may have not looked like freaking Pamela. Was it Pamela Anderson Lee or whatever? I mean, I did get one who looked like Tori Spelling back in the day. Shout out to me. But I mean,
I would definitely say from my experience
yeah,
back in college, the the white girls that were the best to be around as far as staying true to being feminine, nice, courtesy, and just all around great, definitely was foreign women.
oh,
And that includes women from Canada, women from the UK, but especially like the Eastern European white girls. Yeah, hands down, they were in a class very different from American white girls.
and yeah, this is in the '90s, 2000s, actually the '90s white. Maybe that's because we were all in elementary school, middle school, whatever. As I said, children come out innocent. It's society and adults that f them up. but that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. But yeah, like the white chicks I got with, even let's just say the ones who were American. I mean, yeah, on average they were more around the Avril Lavigne skater girl kind of white chicks, or the the basic bitch, Hillary Duff, Miley Cyrus looking kind of white chicks. I mean, they can get attention, but they weren't like the beauty queen or whatever. That was my league, and I'll be honest, that was my lane in general. Hell, or the Amy Lee kind of chicks from Evanescence. If all of you remember what she was, actually those were my personal favorites. But yeah, given the fact that the experiences that we've all had going overseas or dealing with foreign exchange women or girls when we were growing up, that is the thing that really woke me up to just the world and how it was like out there outside of the United States. Because yeah, I grew up in the community, and even when I wasn't in the community in certain parts, it was still just basic bitch suburbia. But I mean, when I worked out in places, mainly out in Fairfax, Virginia, that's when I really started to know the international, the how it was internationally, and I just met people who were from overseas, whether they were sons and daughters of consulates, or people who work for the State Department, or just people who just moved here from because of amnesty, political amnesty, that sort of thing. And trust me, you get a different perspective. And no, it doesn't come with the I don't want my daughter dating you, so I'm just going to cock block you or whatever. I'll be honest. I've had a lot more with the BWs I actually had some success with, the American BWs. I had a lot more cock blocking from their mamas than I did from the fathers of some of these foreign women I was dating in high school and college. They won't tell you that. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Is that so? It's like what people have to get, what just the moral of the story is.
Yeah.
You have to get better experiences that is not based on what normally happens within the black environment. You're going to be better off. You see, if you have different experiences, you're gonna figure out how substandard that shit is pretty fast. Like me, when I went to the military, like couldn't even try. You know what I'm saying? No resource, no car, don't even think about it. And most of the women are pounders, and they were punking motherfuckers, and still getting on. And then, so you go from that environment to better choices and better culture choices, and I just never turned back. So, to most of these people bragging on this, it's easy to brag that you are the choice without any type of tangible receipts. And there's no reason to even think that these people were the choices of today either. Like it doesn't make any sense to restrict male choice if you're not going to restrict female choice. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. And I'm just telling people up front, go get better experiences. You're going to be better off when you have better experiences. Most of these people can't go get better experiences because they damaged and destroyed their life on these experiences. This is why they can't do it.
I was actually about to say that when I was gonna speak, MOT, that they can't do it. Like you said it before, Xanatos, they feel like they should get, the cream of the crop if they were to go travel, but they simply can't. And then for us to circumvent it is they don't have any stats. Even King Sigma discussed this because when he goes statistically, like they pretend the pro wax in particular, like Sigma Jones said, they pretend like they care about the community and pretend to care about black men when it comes to arguments for traveling. So if you think about it, they mentioned whole incarceration. Well, and black men in America have the highest incarceration rates than anywhere else in the world. The U.S. has the highest incarceration rates in the world. So it will be favorable for black men to get out of the U.S. in that sense. And even when it comes to whole tricking, shaming, so they don't want you to trick on foreign women, but they want you to trick on the American women.
Yeah,
quadruple the amount.
Club.
Yep. They want you to trick quadruple the amount and get less than a quarter of the respect you'd get from a foreign woman.
Yeah, and I include American white women in this. They would rather have you trick with them than deal with a foreign black woman in some cases, because you know what? hey, they know that the game's rigged here. They know that most American, that not most, but a good amount of American white women see themselves as, oh, I can get a black man like that anytime. So I'm just gonna
Mhm.
have this attitude as if I'm better. So you know what? If look, they want us to play on a playing field that is basically rigged, and it's not even overseas. Let's look at this domestically from the contiguous 48 states. These guys who these guys, if you're thinking black men, right? These guys will bitch and moan whenever a black man goes to a place where he isn't seen as the face of crime, where he
Yep.
isn't seen as the face of poverty,
Yep.
where the
Mhm.
where the women, regardless of race, white, Latina, Asian, even black, where they see they would treat him with at least cooperation. These individuals will still have problems with that. Now, they haven't said it like that because there hasn't been a guy yet, wink wink, who has really shown places where, I mean, do this place respect black men? Can black men find peace in such place in whatever state? Wink wink. But yeah, it's been basically black men going overseas. But we have a nation, and I know it looks very dire at this point with the feminism and all this other kind of stuff, and the events that happened in 2020 with the racial stuff and that sort of thing. I know it looks very bleak for black men in America, and I'm not going to say it isn't, but there are places, even within the contiguous United States, that you can find somewhere to at least breathe to the point where you won't drive yourself to insanity dealing with either alt-righters or dealing with the community or even dealing with the faux SJWs who will scream Black Lives Matter but won't swipe right on your profile. They won't swipe right on your profile. Online dating
But
is
you
one of
see,
the most... Oh, don't get me started on that. Let's go. What about to say? What about to say in King Circle? What are you about to say?
what you see, Xanatos, this is the reason why when you asked about what are some of the solutions, um, to kind of go against the anti-passport and SYSB and brigade, one of the solutions, in my opinion, is there needs to be separation. Like in a vein of MOT, we need to start highlighting the dysfunction of the so-called game dudes, the dysfunctions of the type of stereotypical pookies and rave rays that get into these particular troubles and all. So that way, when newcomers come around, and this what gets me is people feel like other races of folks don't notice the dysfunctions of blacks, but they do. They really do. That's why it's easier. It's funny how a brother who got his head on straight can keep himself away from trouble out of the law and everything, even just within America. We're not even talking about as far as traveling overseas and all, but even within America, he's able to thrive in other environments compared to the stereotypical ninja who has to live up to that stereotype because in his mind, that's the only thing he knows. He has no intentions of knowing other cultures. He has no intentions of knowing how to be better for himself, let alone for other women and other people. It usually in that regard, he becomes who he is because of a female, but I digress. But all said and done, there needs to be a form of separation. And there needs to be a form of separation starting with men like us. We need to make that distinction of these are the troublemakers over there. This is what they're all about. This is what they do. And then there are guys like us who are being the opposite of these troublemakers and
Yeah.
just let the result speak for itself.
I'm glad.
Yeah, good
Go
point,
ahead.
Sigma. I wanted to add to Sigma's point, Xanatos, but I'll let you go first.
I was going to say, great point, Sigma. You said pointing out the pookie mess or the mess that the stereotypical Bebe's kids do. And that's good and all. Just like they want to point out how, one guy who traveled, he pissed. He took a piss right beside a coconut tree and people saw it. So he's a P word or whatever. I mean, that's when literally they do half the time when it comes to this stuff. There are some legitimate stories, but not too many. I mean, most of the stories they do are basically akin to what I just said. But yes, even
Yeah, well,
but even with that, like these same individuals will come, and I borrowed their book. I stole the Bebe Kids, or the anti-traveling Bebe Kids playbook, and they will say to you, they will say this. And I flipped the page 102. They will say that, oh, you, and no matter what you are, no matter what you do, no matter how many suit Saturdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays you do, no matter how straightforward you are, no matter how many times you expose Pookie in them, you are one big ninja. You are just like us. So deal na 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 boo boo. You're in it with us. You're in the barrel, and we're going to get barrel rolled. Exactly. So what do you say about that? Those individuals who say you're just nothing but a ninja anyway, just like me.
yeah, but I'm actually like, this is my line. The shame shit, I'm okay with because they lost. The moment they start slandering, we need to start fighting back. Like immediately, start taking it up to like taking videos down and going after people legally. The shame shit is okay, but like once you start doing something other than that, the slanderous material and activity shit, just so that way you can boost your appeal here. No, man, you just got to show them the goddamn sword. You have to give these dudes consequences for their actions because we don't go out of our way to concentrate on them. They go out of their way to concentrate on us. I don't. So it's like, look, hey man, you can say whatever you want to, but the moment it start crossing into the slander, it's time for that algorithm to start getting your ass up out of here because the women are not asking for this. They're just doing this shit pro bono. The women are not asking these dudes to do this. They're not. I swear that they're not asking for this stuff. But at the end of the day, if they're going to keep this this line of thinking up, it's time for us to just fight back legally, man. And I know a lot of black people don't want to fight anybody legally because you've been poisoned with that, you know, old Negro Christian spirit of going through bullshit for no apparent fucking reason. But I ain't with that shit.
Yes, be so forgiving, and I'm glad you brought that up, MOT, because I find it interesting how you look at that recent incident with that shooting in Atlanta, and how the Asian folks, they did not go out of their way to get on national TV and say, "Oh, we forgive him. Oh,
Hell
he
no.
he didn't know what he's doing."
Nope.
No, they
Nobody even
sought
asked him the question either.
yeah, they sought vengeance. So to me, I'm like you. I'm not all for this we gotta forgive. Oh, we got to so to speak, turn the other cheek and everything. No. When you do something illegal, I'm going to respond with legal actions. Point blank.
Correct.
And the best part about that responding with legal action is, given who they are, they don't even know how to act legally against it.
Nope. It's
So-
gonna be a default judgment, and that's gonna be it. Because baby kids don't have their fucking address updated on file and shit, especially on driver's license. So yeah, that's the way it's gonna go, man. I'm not putting up with this shit. At the end of the day, it's time for y'all to get these legal hands, man. There is no more putting up with this type of shit. They had long enough to prove their point, and we're not just gonna keep sitting here and letting these people do this shit and get away with it because they're only doing it for pander's sake. But I don't even want to get them that shit. I want to take everything away from them. They shouldn't be out here doing this, man.
Yep, and also to add to Sigma's point about, we do need to talk more about them because it's just basically them one side of them barking at us. And little do they know, since they're trying to hurt our image, saying, oh, they're coming from America to do yada, yada, yada. The foreigners are looking like, wait a minute, you're saying you're trying to shame them, but they came from your country, so you're affiliated with them, right? So you American black men are bad also. They don't see it that way for some reason.
Hey, a shout out to all of you.
What you do, you don't go after the person. You go after the platform for allowing this shit to happen in the first place. That's what you do. You go after them and be like, look, you are allowing this shit to happen. These dudes are out here trying to do crazy things and damaging people's reputation, and they're using your platform as a weapon to spread such nonsense. I know they wouldn't allow people to do Holocaust denial. This is what I'm saying. You have to take it to that goddamn level. Whenever they start talking this stupid shit, to me, I'm thinking Holocaust denial. Fuck these dudes. We're not even trying to play nice with you. It's time for us to start giving your ass some fucking sticks. You had enough goddamn carrots. You had 50 years of carrots. Now it's time for 50 years of goddamn sticks. That's where I'm at with it.
I'm giving them the flaming sword now, MOT.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the other guy who joined back. I just want to see if you are online. Are you ready? What's up? The other dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah. Yeah. With me, I guess. You know, I'm ADOS and East
Right.
African, so
Okay.
I got two different backgrounds, but I was saying that I think that the problem that the culture is just so dysfunctional in America. And I mean, just the West in general, whether you're in what do you call it, in the UK, or Canada or whatever. So it's just not a Black American thing. I think that it's just no. I think the problem with what I observe, I've heard like with Jessica X and like some other was another YouTuber too, King Richard, talk about this stuff that was going on in the UK too. So I think that as far as that, like them criticizing people that travel, I think it's kind of immature, and it's like people that's like in high school and just saying like because it's only a small percentage of guys that are traveling over there anyway. So I think that why would they care? And like I think I heard that Minister Jap, I saw basically him calling women, we call it German shepherds, and I'm thinking like all this stuff. So why would they care? And like I said, like I think that the whole game thing is all like is overrated. So I think that I never needed no game to talk to a woman or any of that type of stuff. So I think that and it's it's basically Western too. It's like a Western concept. And when you think about it, it's like you're giving the woman more power because the fact that you have to talk to the woman to make her basically you have to talk a certain way to make the woman like you. So basically you're the one that are in a weaker a weaker position. Huh? So because either the woman is going to like you from a natural attraction or not. And I think that it's kind of like black dudes are just arguing like a lot of these dudes on YouTube or I guess the Black Manosphere or whatever. Uh, just talking about like how much vagina they get and just like stuff that like you talk about when it's like back when you were like in high school and stuff like that. Oh, I got this in the vagina. Oh, like you won't win an award. You gonna get a trophy or something like that. I'm thinking like uh, I think they were talking about dudes that was the prostitutes and calling people that are that, pedophiles
Yeah.
and
P
stuff.
word. The P word.
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, that was just too far. You know what I'm saying? So there's like there's no evidence nobody's doing that type of stuff anyway. So I'm thinking like it's kind of just ridiculous to me. So it's just kind of like it's just basically like shaming tactics, and I think they just basically have to make something up so guys won't have to it won't because they're not dealing with plantation the plantation here in America. So basically they have to resort to like female tactics. So it's like a lot of these
Right.
guys are like acting like women. So I was like, I don't know, it's just very strange. It's very weird to me.
Yeah.
That these guys talking and stuff. So
Right. Yeah. And it is. It's pretty shameful, and it's actually just It's silly at best, but it's pretty shameful and slanderous at worst that you got guys who are just making videos and contents about and just making their name off of trying to tell black men, of course not all men, but black men, on why you shouldn't go overseas. Notice how in the white manosphere, even with the infighting and all that's happening with the doxing and the that sort of thing, they are not going after each other for going to East Asia, Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, etc. So they aren't doing that. If that's one thing that the white manosphere has about the baby's kids, then it's that. But shout out to all 50 of you who were in here, and shout out to those who have super chatted, Cashapp. But think tanks take money, and since I see that some people have fallen off, I'm not talking about those who already have. I'm talking about the rest of you, the lurkers who are in here. Yeah, think tanks cost money. So, and since I don't see a lot, I guess it's time for us to close this out. It's almost 3 hours that we've done this, so let's just get the final words in. Let me see. As a matter of fact, let's do this by ranking. JM, do you have anything to say? Oh yeah, GameChanger left. Yeah, shout out to GameChanger. He just dropped off, but JM, do you
Yeah,
have anything to say?
I say something. I was like, it's kind of I mean, I like I said, I think a lot of things are in the culture is so far gone, and I think that a lot of these guys, and like I said, you know, um, people want to, leave the dysfunction, and if you want like a feminine, traditional, humble type of woman that's like relationship material, sometimes you might have to get out, you might have to leave, you might have to not, deal with another woman and stuff like, even my lady, saying she's not, she grew up in East Africa, grew up in Ethiopia, so she's not. And basically, people have to understand that like culture. And the thing is, a lot of people in America they don't really understand culture in the sense that like, um, what you call it? They don't base a lot of these cultures, a lot of things that go in America. They don't go over there. So I think that guys should just know that they have options. Black men, especially like they have options. Outside here, and I think that guys should have freedom. The freedom is if we call it if black women are talking about swirling and all that type of stuff, but it's only a problem. When a black man in the West, have options. So my thing is that like guys should just explore their options. Don't care about the shaming because they're not going to stop it, so they don't have no control. So I think that
Right.
um, yeah, and I think that's what guys should should do. So
Understood. Okay, got it. Thanks. Black Curls, let's start with you next.
All right, but MOT, you proposed a great solution. Just throw that book on them because these illiterate dudes cannot read for the life of them anyway.
Yeah.
So that already works perfectly to
yeah,
our advantage.
yeah, they stupid as hell. Yep.
So yep, then also keep traveling because you will not understand the standards you need to have because you don't grow in an environment that encourages you to have standards. Instead, they shame you for it as is.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Black Curls. Let's go next to MOT.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you need to make sure that this is the last generation that these people are around. Everybody here has an actual place in it. Don't believe any black woman who's too comfortable around fuckery and bullshit because a lot of people fall for that. This is a good, no, she's the best of the worst fucking options. Trust me, if she was a better person, she would not be around this fucking bullshit. But a lot of people are falling for that shit too. So I'm like, look, you got to be certain that you are able to survive without this shit around. You fill your life with better solutions, you're gonna be better off. Me, I words cannot describe how much I want these people gone. However, at the end of the day, You still are in a better position than them. They just don't want you knowing that. That's what this whole exercise is about. It's about making the bottom look like the top and the top look like the bottom. And so that way you're never comfortable unless you let them walk all over you. You cannot be able to do that. We got to be able to fight these guys back. Because listen, if they was happy around their inventory, they wouldn't need to be online. Most of these dudes are losers. They lost in life. The only thing is the street shit don't work within their local city. So the only thing they're doing is coming online and finding other lost people who are compromised by this goddamn image. And it turns out the failure rate in Black America is very high. So it's going to be a very high number of people glumming onto these talking points. So at the end of the day, if your ass is over there in these environments and you're still over there, don't bother coming back to my channel because your ass will be blocked. Have a person print the shit out. If I see certain people in certain places, your ass is blocked and you're not coming back to my goddamn channel. At the end of the day, you got to stop this male monkey branching shit. You got to stay around the people who got the same type of value system that you have. It's the only way this shit's going to be able to work. Thanks for having me on, Xanto.
Hey, no problem, MOT. And last but not least, Sigma Jones.
Yeah, as always, Xanatos, thanks for having me on. Mine's just pretty short and simple. Separation is needed. For those who can adapt in other cultures and all, you keep building experiences, MOT says, and you keep traveling. You know, as long as you're doing things by the books and you're not doing anything illegal, the lesser, the bottom of the barrels have nothing they could do to your life. And then for those who can't adapt to other cultures, my thing is you stay on the other side of the fence. That's my warning shot. And if you keep trying to come over to our fence with that dysfunction, there will be legal actions. So that's all I'm going to say. Xanatos, MOT, Black Curls, thanks for having me on this panel, and you all have a good night.
All right. And with that being
Okay.
said, I want to thank you all for joining me. This was actually a pretty productive chat. Yeah, it definitely got spicy at times, but definitely not above the level in which I think it needs to be put on Patreon or something like that. So I want to thank you all for keeping this PG-13, at least on the YouTube level. But yeah, my conclusion is this: don't let anyone, whether it's someone from the community or one of these alt writers or whatever, try to shame you or scare you to stay in a predicament that you know doesn't feel right. I just saw a video today where another dude talked about his 5 days in, was it Panama, where he said he actually felt like a human being. And that is basically one of the reasons why I created my channel. It was because where I was in the DMV, I did not feel like a human being. And that was done not just by those from outside non blacks, but from the community, from so called my own people. And the fact that they were the ones who were spearheading, or at the very least contributing to how I felt, and not even how I felt, how I was treated. Um, it that's just and especially in the place where it's supposed to be a number 2 black mecca next to Atlanta, supposedly. But it's a shame that we have to say that we just want to be treated like human beings. We just want to be treated like everybody else, and people have a problem with that. And instead of instead of the UN taking our case and saying, hey, look, these are the black men who served in the military. These are the black men who have skills. These are the black men who went to college for good degrees. Let's end their nightmare. Let's end their suffering. Let's let them choose the nation that they want to live in and start over, just like they did with others. Instead of that, instead of the world coming together and doing that, they would rather have these clowns. And I'm just going to call them, well, they are clowns. Clowns at best, slanderers, and dipshits at worst, who want to get in the bitch fit in the menopause whenever they see black men not just going overseas, but just being happy. Just being happy. And I guess that I'm not sure if that's somewhere in the Constitution that no Negro male in this country shall ever have any sort of happiness. I thought it was the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, huh? I thought that's what we were guaranteed as Americans, right? Well, that pursuit of happiness in a lot of cases comes from being seen as a human. And in some cases, that can translate to all things, including freaking just dealing with foreign chicks, dealing with chicks outside your race, dealing with non-ADOS BWs, hell, dealing with black women who are about something and are from the cul-de-sac, or the was it the Valley girls who don't see all black men as who haven't been tainted with that and are just trying to avoid black men. They're gonna trust me. Before this is all said and done, you're gonna have American BWs, FBA BWs who are going to vouch for black men, and these won't be the ones who are at the danger zone and trying to look for their sucker and are calling Kevin Samuels. I'm talking about the ones who are young, thin, and tight, who are just out of college or currently in college, but they're looking for their MRS degree. And they're, I mean, if we're going to go by count, either they're virgins or they've only been in serious relationships. All right, cool. And trust me, when these women say, I want to thinking black men, oh, they will be seen right there with the basic white girl or Asian or Latina girl who likes black men, which will all but solidify our point that our opposition is not in this for any altruistic reason about caring about whatever, about the harm or damage done to anyone or anything. Trust me, they are not in it for this reason. They'll pull up those stats, and I don't condone any of that action that happens. Trust me, I'm for all anything and up to the death penalty to those who want to take it that far, who want to do that sort of abuse. Uh, because there's two reasons: one, because of the base abuse, and two, because you're ruining the image of black men. You are. You seriously are. Um, but as far as their reasons, a lot of them don't care. They're what they care about is seeing black men as miserable as they are, as stuck as they are, as shiftless as they are. And uh, if they don't see that, then as far as that's concerned, then if any black man has a bit of a more of a smirk than they are, then oh, you're in trouble. Blah blah. Oh, spaghettios. We need to clean that. But yeah, that's what this is about. Don't. So I want to salute everyone out here who stayed here for 3 hour, 3 hour live stream. And no super chats. You guys are lucky. You guys are lucky that I want that I defend individuals who are about black male autonomy and black male freedom and transcendence beyond being seen as black. Because honestly, that's what this is for. My channel, if anything else, if you want to describe it in one sentence, it is to racially transcend or transcend beyond race. And I believe that there is a way to do so. I'll be honest, I'm somewhat finding that way still myself, but I believe I'm further ahead than a lot of people are. A lot of people. But for everyone else out there, feel free to stick around. Feel free to join me as we find, or at least seek to find, that formula to transcend black men beyond seen, or beyond being seen as black men. Everyone else out there, always bet on